Good morning. The National Atomic Clock is telling me it's 09 in America today on the East Coast. So welcome back for day 3 of the 3rd Annual Agility Summit. So I did want to just, I want to push this agenda again, because I get to push my agenda from 09 to 9:15. No, that's not true. But I would like to remind all the participants that are here in the building and then now have joined us online that first MLG, Marine Logistics Group, Makerspace folks, Marines, are in the workshop, along with second MLG, Makerspace. Now, the Makerspace is, I just want to explain this again. This is where the Marines get together, enlisted an officer, and get to work on their problems that they see. So for the Don workforce, this would be a good opportunity for you to talk with the Marines or email one of us here at Naval X or the Agility Summit, and we'll put you in contact with the Marines that run those makerspaces, because that's where they're working on problems. Marines get problems, anything from pieces and parts on a vehicle to, I'll tell you what they did down at second makerspace was they wanted to create a mobile app. They were trying to create a mobile app. I found wind of it and then went to PEO MLB, My Navy HR, I think they're in, which it contains my apps or my mobile apps. And you can check those out. In fact, why don't everybody go check those out with what they do, what we do in the Navy for mobile apps. And it's Navy applocker.navy.mil. applocker.navy.mil. Go check that out. All right, so in the news yesterday, when we were talking about things, I think the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the UK and Australia signed a treaty called AUKUS. I think what that's going to do, that treaty is going to bring, it's going to help bring nuclear submarine building to Australia. So they're going to have nuclear submarines in Australia, according to that treaty and in the news. And there's some, this is our silent service. These submarines. Submarines seem to make governments nervous, right? And which is fine with me, because the deterrence of war is better than the alternative, always with me. But again, this is where we're getting together at the alliance level again and deterring war in our Pacific Rim. That's a good thing. Now let's change over to what we've been talking about here today over the last 2 days. So innovation is abundant with innovation. And when we talk about innovation, it's just not that if you've had the chance to read Peter Teal's book, 0 to 1, I'm not pushing his book. It's not an endorsement. But he talks about innovation being 0 to 1, meaning something that was nothing becomes something all of a sudden. But a lot of what we talk about in our space, in my opinion, and professionally too, I guess I'm going to have to include that, is we talk about innovation, but it really could be modernization or improvement of what we already have. So it's the reuse, and we just coined that term of innovation. But that's okay. Whatever we want to call it, we're making a difference, and we're making that small difference. So don't think that innovation has to be something supremely awesome like an iPod with 5,000 songs that you carry in your pocket, rather than the Walkman that we used to have. And our junior Marines will show you a picture of that from the Smithsonian about what a cassette tape is and all that kind of good stuff. And even and how many people had the CD Walkman where when you're running, it didn't skip anymore, right? Like that was the big thing. Like who knew we would be where we are today? And if we watch Blade Runner, that old movie with Harrison Ford when he looked young and fabulous and handsome, right? Which he still does, actually. He's a big fan of his. I mean, they had the scene in there where it said like 2019 Los Angeles, and they had flying cars or something like. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but really interesting, right? Where were we? So the science fiction writers of 1970 and 1980 that have come said, "See, I told you what I was writing would happen." And when we think about it, it almost becomes like we've got the Internet of Things. We want to move into the military Internet of Things. That's been a big thing for the last 5 or 6 years. How do we have the military Internet of Things? How do we connect all of our sensors and sources together? how do we also look at it from the perspective of when we have our sailors and Marines go off to far off lands to make sure we continue to deter war or take care of whatever the president has asked us to take care of and the nation needs, how do we make sure the families are taken care of? So in my Navy HR, out of PEO MLB, they take care of the families. So that's important too. We always like to concentrate on the deterrence of war. This is what I call the sexy stuff, right? We're going to do object recognition and we watch Zero Dark 30 and they're putting rounds on target. But what about back home? What about making sure that we're getting paid? What about making sure that our insurance is proper? Those things are super important too. And if we're not concentrating on welfare of the Marine Corps, right? Number one thing you got to have to do is welfare of your troops. That's the number one thing to accomplishing a mission. So making sure the families are taken care of. So don't forget about that aspect of it too. It always doesn't have to be something involving the mechanisms of war deterrence. Yesterday, we got to listen to the Tech Bridge Alliance and more about the tech bridges, and we can see how that is becoming a fabric of connection. And when Secretary Gertz started this back in 2019, this whole concept, it just takes a while to get traction. We've had, Naval X has had its ups and downs. People still don't understand what a tech bridge is. People don't understand the concepts. You're like, how does this benefit me? And you can see it here today. And if you've been, and I hope you've been listening, and I know you have, because I've seen the collision spaces go on of like, hey, I'm starting to understand what you're talking about. I'm understanding better. And even the tech bridge directors, like looking at what we're doing, have the opportunity to change and tweak how they want to present their mission or their vision to the commanding officers of those warfare centers and then also out to industry. So we are iterating and slowly getting up to speed. But the more events we have like this and the more interest we have from the Don workforce and also industry, it's super important so we can continue to build those relations and then purposefully come together, deliberately come together and share information with each other. And then I just can't talk more about Bob and what he does with the SIBR office. I just think that's underutilized, and we need Paul to too. Okay, and I don't work for those people. I think it's underutilized, and I've been a part of working with one of your SIBR awardees on a phase 2 under PEO MLB. I won't name the company, but I've been working with this company, and oh my goodness, if we leave these companies to their own device to try to get through the bureaucracy and the phone calls, like I said the other day, I wasn't very clear, but I want to make sure that when we get a call from a small business, we direct them to the right person the first time, maybe the second time, but no more than 3 phone calls. It gets very, they're not, it's a tireless thing, and then they can get tired. They can get tired of calling and just stop calling. And we don't want that. We want that innovation. So we want to embrace them and dare I say, even, handhold them a little bit to the finish line. So Bob and Paul, and then the experimentation team, I forgot who did that presentation. I really appreciate that. And the Don workforce, if you're not looking at that, please take the time. I just entreat you. I really beg you to do that. Entreat, beg, same thing. Sorry. So we had the program management office. We have PEO MLB up talking about their innovation services. So you can see that it's viral, right? Everybody's going to catch, and I hate, that was the wrong term to use. It's really catchy, right? It's infectious to really look at how the PEOs are looked at, how Secretary Gertz and now Secretary Stephanie want to engage and input innovation, culture change into the workforce. Now the PEOs, who really have all the money, they've got the money, and then they distribute it out to the warfare center, the syscoms, and that's what they have taken it to the next level and said, I want to be a part of that. I'm going to make change. I'm going to create a team that's going to be dedicated to changing my portfolios, my whole PEO, and work on that. And I can tell you, PEO subs, I guess I can say his name, Admiral Goggins, because you can Google him. PEO subs loves this concept from day one. Admiral Goggins, I don't know if he's still there or not, but he would come here. He really, really wanted to get PEO subs to change. And not in a way that they were doing something wrong, just improve what they've been doing. So that's when I say change, it's just improve. I think DTech was here. I missed the DTech brief. I actually had to look it up in the program event book. So thanks for doing this, such a good job on that. So DTech was here to talk about, and that's the Defense Technology Information Center. I think that's right. So they were here to talk about what they offer to the Department of Defense. So we should be utilizing that as well. And I know there's lots of programs within DTIC because I know Marine Corps Intel uses DTIC quite often. And then to anchor the day, we had Craig Sawyer. So Craig Sawyer came up and gave his discussion about the unmanned campaign plan. Craig can't be here today. I wish he was, because you probably have a lot more questions for him. He had a bit of a family emergency that he had to attend to. But if you did listen to his presentation, you can get his point of contact. He's really busy. He may not get back with you, but I do entreat you to take a look at what he offered. And I think the unmanned campaign plan in distro A is out there. Yeah, so take a look, download that, Google that, Bing it, whatever your preferred search engine is. But again, when we talk about unmanned, and then we listen to, and we see the AUKUS, the treaty that actually, if you read the news article, I believe it was 90 billion euro deal with France was deleted to do this other treaty deal. So take a look at that, read the details, fact check me on that. But here's a huge, huge opportunity of where we want to move in the unmanned campaign portion of it. And then we want to have the silent service possibly in the background. I don't know, but this is where what Mel Chapman talked about yesterday or 2 days ago during our panel of being able to pour over and read these documents of what the national defense strategy is, what treaties are we doing, what the economy's doing, all of it, each of it, look at it and read it and understand, and then see where we're trying to go into the future, or where maybe we can try to portend where others are thinking, because you're not going to get some of the classified background. I mean, even the Don workforce doesn't hear all of this. But as Don workforce members, I can tell you one thing I was doing, and I know my peers down at NIWC Land do it, and I think my peers here do it too, also at Naval X, is we read these documents. We try to figure, well, what does it mean to you? That means we get into arguments over it too. But it's good to read this just so we're familiar with it and we know what to ask for, what our BAAs should look like, what our OTAs should look like. And most importantly, Ashley, can you come on up for a second? I like when we do things together.
Always my favorite.
You make me look bad on camera, but
of course I do.
So Ashley also talked about diversity and inclusion, which is supremely important. And I'm going to say this, I don't think I should say it out loud, but usually when we have senior level folks come into this room, I always say it's wow, those senior level folks look the same, but it's changing, right? We need diversity. We need diversity within our senior ranks. We need diversity within our junior ranks. We need diversity on our teams. It's just highly important, because not one person always has the best idea. There's times when I always think I have the best idea, and then Rick Tarr or one of my other friends or Ling comes to me and says, you don't have the best idea. Be quiet. Right, Ashley? I mean, right, you've seen this before. So Ashley anchored us, or didn't anchor us, but also gave us a presentation about diversity, gave us some good numbers and stats to look at and how important that is within our community. Ashley, anything you want to say about that?
One of the things I think about learning other cultures and stuff, Steve and I sat next beside each other a little while ago, and he was playing like some rap music, and I'm actually not a fan of rap music, and I'm like, are you doing this because I'm black? Are you doing that? And he's like, no, he really likes rap music. And I thought it was one of the funniest things. Started connecting and talking about things. He was telling me about rappers that I had no idea about. But I mean, literally just different people in the room being able to connect. And I'm telling even my Naval X employee coworkers as I'm leaving, hey, connect, make those networks and make those connections, because you never know where you'll find commonalities. And then that's how you start to bridge these gaps that we're all trying to overcome. But no, that's it. Just I sent it out to my family. Mama, I made it. So yesterday's YouTube at 2 hours is when I went on. So no, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. So I love when you come up here, Ashley, because you make it easy for me to talk just normally how I talk. But I get nervous because I know I'm very, very casual when I talk. So I try to keep that back. So we've got a great lineup today.
Yeah, I wanted to introduce the next speakers because I've been working with them virtually for so long, and I got to meet their amazing selves in person. Diana Teal is actually at the Tech Grove down in Orlando, part of the Orlando Tech Bridge, the NOC-TSD, and down there in Orlando is probably one of the most unique. It's a very unique tech bridge because they are co-located with different military branches. There's Army, there's Air Force, Marine Corps, there's other government agencies. They have academia, like all within a sphere of maybe like a 30 to 40-mile radius. Like everybody's right there. You can't do that in DC. It's too expensive. We get it. But theirs is really great because they've been operating in this space a long time. And now having a tech bridge, like kind of like leading the charge on a lot of things. But I wanted to come on, bring up Cassie and Diana. And she actually has some speakers that are down there. Hi, guys. Hey,
Ashley.
so, you know,
Can you hear us?
One thing that makes a tech bridge so special is starting up these co-working spaces like you can see right here, where they're actually at their co-working center where people can bring in industry, government, academia, and have just things like this. Like you walk in the door and said, this is a government installation, kind of, sort of, not really. Hey, we're using it to do some things differently than we've ever done in the past. And down here, they want to show off their tech grove. And hopefully I get to come down there in a few weeks when I go on vacation. I'm going to come check it out. So you guys can have the floor.
Can you hear me, Ashley?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you. We've been saying our pitch enough that you know it now too. So that's a wonderful thing for us, Ashley. Thank you and welcome everybody. This is the Tech Grove.
Oh, one second. It's kind of low. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Tell me when you want me to. Do you want me to just keep on talking or what?
Oh, maybe get. Are you need to be closer to a microphone?
Yeah, we'll do it that way. I didn't know if they were gonna be able to hear you.
Can you hear? Hold on. Kevin's doing some technical assistance. Can you hear me now?
Put the mic like you're singing.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. A little bit.
A little bit, really, or you can really hear me?
1 second.
Actually?
30 seconds. Oh, it's ours.
So is this better?
Use your outside voice.
Oh, I can use that.
Diana can project.
I can. Yes. Ashley, am I waiting on you?
So as the team gets set up, I'll do some filibustering. So today we're also going to have a we had a presentation from one of our consortiums. I didn't know we had two consortiums here. We're good. Okay. Well, there's two consortiums here. All right, bye.
All right. So can y'all hear me now?
Thank you.
Ashley, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
All right, so let me start. So I am Diana Teal, and we are here, as Ashley said, in the Central Florida Tech Grove. With me is Leslie Faircloth. She is our deputy for small business. And then on the side of her is Tim Welch, and he's what we call our tech pollinator. You'll see that throughout the presentation. And then up there with y'all is Cassie Muffley, and she's the deputy director for the Central Florida Tech Bridge. So we are part of the Tech Bridge Network. Next slide, please. Okay, so we are part of that Tech Bridge Network, and we believe ourselves to be one of the nodes on that network. And I say that we were one of the first 5 tech bridges that were stood up. And I don't know if we're still doing it, but we were considered to have a mature ecosystem. So we're here in Central Florida. Next slide, please. And to talk about the Tech Bridge, I really think we need to talk about where we are in Central Florida and this thing that we call Team Orlando. So you see on this slide, we started out with what I call the big 4. We've got, as Ashley was saying, we've got all 4 services co-located. So Navy, Army, Air Force, Marine Corps. And in that slide with the big circle is the 4 commands. So Naval Air Warfare Center, Training Systems Division, NOC-TSD as we like to call ourselves, right? An acronym there. And although aviation is in our name, our mission is within all the warfare areas. So then we have PEO Stride, which is Army. We have PM Traces, which is the Marine Corps, and AFMS for Air Force. So all 4 of us are doing modeling, simulation, training, and human performance. So to be a part of Team Orlando, you've got to be co-located with us. You've got to be in that DoD business space. And you also have to be in our simulation training and human performance business space. So in that smaller circle are liaison members of what we call Team Orlando. And you can see that's National Center for Simulation, or NCS. They represent industry. We have University of Central Florida, which they're co-located with us in Research Park. And they're, I think, the second largest university, depending on how you measure it, within the nation or North America. And then we have the Orlando Economic Partnership and the Florida High Tech Corridor. So Florida High Tech Corridor the corridor is from Gainesville with UF to Tampa with USF, over here to Orlando with UCF. And they work with all of those universities and looking at that high tech. We also have the relationship with our state and local partners, and that's what we call Team Orlando. Next slide, please. So we've been doing this for a while, this being collaboration. You can see in 1950 was the MOA between the Army and the Navy. That's the longest running MOA in the nation between the two commands, or between Army and Navy. We have a charter that was signed for Team Orlando to make that what it is. In 1985, we stood up this Tech Grove in 2020, and then you can see I've got on there the Star Base, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in 2021. Next slide, please. So geography matters. So as Ashley was saying, we're co-located within this little area here in Orlando. On this slide has a lot of call outs and a lot of information. The biggest takeaway is we're in walking distance to each other. There's the 4 commands that I talked about that are located with us. UCF is our neighbor just to the north. You can see that on this little slide here. And then we call out the different partnership buildings. So we have what we call a partnership building is off base, and we have space in that we, the DoD, along with UCF. So I think those are the biggest takeaways with this slide. Next slide, please. All right, so I talked about the big 4, what I call the big 4. On this slide, it shows all of the DoD organizations that are co-located with us here in Central Florida, all in that same business space and all a part of Team Orlando. So they're members of what we call the Board of Directors, or the BOD. So we've got the Army and a couple of different commands. One that y'all might be interested in is Army Futures Command, Synthetic Training Environment, Cross-Functional Team, STCFT, they're a part of Team Orlando. Also the JAKE, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. DHS, S&T is a part of us, along with VHA. Next slide. All right, we've got a lot of students in an area, 100-mile radius around us, so we're really fortunate to have that STEM pipeline. We have EPAs with many of these colleges and universities, and we constantly are doing collaborating so that we make sure that we have that relationship with these students. Next slide. NCS is our industry partner. It shows 300 partners that they have, so are members of the NCS. We also have the National Training Simulation Association, NTSA. That's more of an international association, and we'll talk about them a little bit later, but they have about 18,000 members that are a part of our ecosystem. So you can see we have a very robust, rich ecosystem. On this slide with NCS, because of our geography and where we're located, we can have some interesting members of industry that we're able to interact with, let's say, have collisions with. So on this slide, we have not just the traditional government organizations that you normally see that are a part of doing business with the DoD. Next slide. All right, so this slide, a lot of information going on here, I recognize. So what this talks about our outreach battle rhythm. We have at least every month some event with industry that is non-program specific. And what that event is it ranges on different topics, right? From an acquisition to demonstrations. So we start our month, and the little, the stars or the eagles or whatever, that represents the highest ranking person that will be attending that event. So we start our year basically in June with what we call TSYS, Training Systems Industry Symposium. That's about 700 attendees, and that's where we baseline our long-range acquisition forecast. With that Team Orlando ecosystem, we have about $6 billion of money that we put on contract every year. So this is a big deal for our ecosystem. We all get together and we do this in one place at one time, talking to industry. PALT, Procurement Administrative Lead Time, that gives industry an update every month or every other month of what those opportunities look like, what's changed. Team Orlando Small Business Roundtable, that's Ms. Leslie Faircloth. She coordinates with her small business deputies or small business leaders from the other organizations, and they get together with industry to talk about things that industry finds interesting or they want to know more about. Then we have this thing called an acquisition process exchange. So sometimes we change stuff in our acquisition process, and it's nice to talk to industry about that. And sometimes we do things that we think are really cool and helpful to industry, and then we might find out that it's not so cool or helpful to industry. So this is our opportunity to have that dialogue with industry, and we both found out some really interesting information from that. ITSIC, the Inter-Service Industry Training Simulation Education Conference, that happens every year here in Orlando. That's about 17,000 people that will attend, people from all over the world. This year, we've invited CNO to be the keynote. It's a Sea Services lead year, and Marine Corps has invited the Commandant of the Marine Corps to attend. And then we have these things called industry demo days, and that happens here in this Tech Grove space. And that's an opportunity for industry to demonstrate technology that could be of interest to us that we have identified pain points for. Next slide, please. All right, so I've talked about, I think, a little bit of all of this. This is how we look at our ecosystem here. And this is one of my favorite slides because I really think it helps to define what we've got going on here in Central Florida in Team Orlando area. So we've got Team Orlando, that's that community. Then we've got the tech bridge, that's that enabler, right? It's that node on that network where we're able to reach out to other tech bridges and say, hey, we found some interesting technology. You might be interested in vice versa. And then we've got what we call the tech road, which is the space that we're in. And this is our capability, as we like to call it. Next slide, please. All right, next slide. All right, so here we are with our capabilities. So this one is really important because this talks about keeping pace with the speed of innovation. What we're finding is that we used to be the ones driving innovation, we being DOD, and now we know that we're not, that that's happening in industry. I just read something where it said that the DIB has reduced by 40% with small businesses in the last decade. That's significant. The other thing is that leveraging the commercial applications, that small businesses have 16.5 more times more patents than our largest or our government. So this is really important for us to have a way to be able to work with what we call our non-traditional industry members. And what I mean by that is not somebody that's a business. Leslie can all day, every day talk to small businesses or businesses that are just not doing business with us and bring them into the fold. But what I mean are what I call the garage guys. So these are the people that have great ideas, but they're not interested in necessarily having a business or doing business with us. This space that we call the Tech Grove helps us with that. Next slide, please. All right, so I've talked about the Tech Grove. This is what we call an innovation partnership and an innovative partnership. So we talked about the why behind it. The innovative partnership is, we've talked about Team Orlando, and the reason for that is when we figured out by being a part of that Tech Bridge network that we could have a PIA, and we use that authority for the Partnership Intermediary Agreement, then we realized that we didn't want to do it on our own. We wanted to do it with our Team Orlando colleagues, if you will, of the other commands. So you can see on this slide, NOC-TSD, PO, STRI, AFMS, and PM Traces. They're all a part of the Tech Grove. They're members, and although we have the relationship with the University of Central Florida Research Foundation, who is our partner. Let me get that one out there. So they're our partner. We have a membership with the other commands, so we all work together in what we're doing over here. Next slide, please. So this is what we've done in the last year, and this is really hard for me to read. Hopefully y'all are being able to read this a lot easier. But this is what we've accomplished in the last year. The things that I can remember, since I'm not really able to read this, is we did have the Chief of Naval Operations came by here. We also had General Funk, which is a 4-star from the Army, that stopped by here. So those are kind of those vanity metrics that Cassie holds me accountable to. The other thing is we had our first Small Business Innovation Research Partnership Day. And what that was we invited each of the commands, identified 4 different small businesses that had SIVers. And then we invited them here to the Tech Grove, and they demonstrated their technology. So 16 different companies. We did this virtually. So we had, I don't know, maybe 400, 500 attendees. And we invited venture capitalists. We invited original equipment manufacturers. We invited program managers. and large businesses and small. So for those opportunities for partnering, for maybe a large business to buy or partner, and the venture capitalists, of course. So what we found out of that was that out of the 16 companies, 14 of them had follow-ups from that day. So we considered that successful. Next slide, please. All right, so this is our path, if you will, very circular, very curvy, our path to innovation. The big thing on here is there's the regular people that you would expect to see that we can do business with, but also those investment partners that we don't normally, and those entrepreneurs or those garage guys. All right, next slide, please. Tech transfers. I think Rick Tarr talked about this yesterday when Rick and Cassie were talking about the Aviation Alliance, the spin in and spin out. So that some of these are our ideas of how we're going to do that. And you see that little, I can't even point to it, but it looks like a little bee, hopefully, with flowers. And that's our tech pollinator. That's Tim Welch. And that's places where he sees himself being involved in helping that technology. Next slide, please. All right, so this is showcasing the Tech Grove and what the space looks like in here that y'all can just see the back of. So we can change up, right? Because it's an open space, so we can make different things happen in here at different times. There's a lot of words on here, and not sure if y'all can read it, but if not, and you have questions about all the different things that we can do in here, please let us know.
Cassie has the digital twin on display right
Thank
there,
you.
so you can see this in virtual person.
Thank you, Tim. All right, and the next slide, and I think we're almost done and we can open this up. So high gear, this is talking about some of the things that we've accomplished, how we have monthly events here in the Juice Bar, how we're doing workforce development, we have collaboration and innovation, and we're accelerating that. I think on this slide, we're talking about, we have a relationship with the National Security Innovation Network, NSIN. We also are partnering with Hacking for Defense. So we have a lot of partnerships and a lot of opportunities. Next slide. So this is our quarterly focus. We're looking at having different events each quarter based on a theme, and that theme will be identified by what we call our technical advisory board. Our tab is made up of the different members of the Tech Grove, and it's their senior scientists, and they get together on a monthly basis, and they'll talk to us about their pain points and where the areas that they want to see innovation in and want us to pursue. Next slide, please. All right, and so this is the hard problems. This goes to the call and how we get those hard problems from our workforce so that we can start working with industry or our workforce in solving those. Next slide, please. And who manages it, right? We're at the end, yay. So who manages it? It's managed by NOCTSD, as I think I said earlier, really quickly. And we've got the relationship, the contractual relationship with the University of Central Florida Research Foundation. And then we have the tab that kind of is the oversight with us on what they want us to pursue for opportunities. And then we have those different stakeholders. We've grown the stakeholders or those tab members from last year. We had the big four. This year, we've added at least one command, an Army command that's under Soldier Center, and we're getting ready to add a sixth command. So the next slide, I think, is my get off the stage slide and open to questions. Oh, and Leslie has an ask. Before we get into questions, Leslie has an ask. I think you're gonna have to come over here, Leslie.
All right, thanks, Diana. I'm Leslie Faircloth, the Deputy for Small Business at NOCTSD. And Diana mentioned the 40% decrease in the last decade of the defense industrial base. So that's one of the reasons that NOCTSD is looking at a couple of small business initiatives to kick off in FY22, so very shortly. One of those initiatives is a hub zone initiative. So we're looking to help bolster some opportunities for hub zones. But first, we need to ask two key questions. So these are my questions, right? So who are the hub zones that are currently in our ecosystem with Team Orlando, and who should be the hub zones that are in the ecosystem with us? So this is a call out to the other Naval X nodes on the network to let me know what kind of hub zones you have in your ecosystem or that you're aware of that do modeling, simulation, training, curriculum, those types of things. So there will be more information coming, but first we're looking to answer that question. And then we'll move on to the next portion of the initiative. It'll help us build the rest of the initiative. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Diana or Tim. Turn it over to Tim Welch.
Open up questions.
Back to Diana.
Thanks. All right, so I think I sped through those slides. Hopefully y'all could see them. Hopefully there's some questions and some interaction, and we'll open it up. If not, Tim will entertain.
So yeah, I'm taking any questions if you guys have, and if there's virtual ones, just let me know. I can read them out. Oh, lots of questions.
Yay!
You know, at your juice bar, do you actually have juice? Like fresh squeezed orange
Yes.
juice?
Yes, we do. You bring your own juice. Bring your own juice. We have orange trees that we're growing, and we were growing them inside in big old pots, but we had to put them outside. What's the next one?
Have you explained the juice bar yet?
Yeah, so the juice bar, thank you, Tim. So the juice bar is, that's supposed to be a low threat environment, what I like to call a low threat environment. What that means is we want that to be a dialogue with our industry members so that they can ask us any questions or we can ask them. So we find that we are better when we understand what the pain points are from an industry perspective. So like one of the last ones that we had, which was really interesting, we were talking about the NextSTEP tech roadmap that we have on our external website. And one of the industry members talked about how they're a small business and the pain points were so large that there was no way that they could take on any of that and spend their IRAD on it. That if we chunked it into smaller bits of information, that they would be able to take that on and spend their IRAD. So that was really important for us to know. And the other was, it was a non-traditional industry member that was looking at getting involved with us, and they looked at our roadmap and said, "You're talking DoD. I have no idea what you're talking about. Although I'm firmly in this business space with immersive reality, this language isn't making sense to me." So that was good information for us, and that's the kind of thing that we're looking at for the juice bar. Any more questions, Tim?
So quick one, Bob Smith with the Department of Navy SBIR. Deanna can link us up because I do have a PIA agreement and they are working with me on outreach to underserved communities and hub zones. And they have a great capability to help you search out, seek, and find minority groups we want to work with. So link us up and we're going to make it happen. And it goes forth for all the other tech bridges.
Thank you, Bob. That's great information. Leslie's already clapping, so wonderful.
Hey, good morning, Diana. Troy Clark from Inland Empire Tech Bridge. Good to see you. Can you talk a little bit about your sustainment model and your business model and how that works?
Yes, thanks, Troy. So what we're looking at is part of our sustainment model is having those members. So that makes us a little bit unique, right? So it's not just a NOC-TSD or a Navy bill to have this tech growth going on. So each of our members, and we ran this through comptroller and legal many different times, as I'm sure y'all can imagine. So each member pays a part of the sustainment fee for this tech growth, and that's part of that model. Then the other thing is looking at enhance, and I don't even know if lawyers are out there, I apologize if I'm using the wrong term. I was going to say enhancements, but sometimes we're looking at the opportunity for industry to sponsor some things that might happen in the tech growth, maybe after hours or at a different time, since this is University of Central Florida Research Foundation space. It's not Navy space. This is not government space. So that, I think, gives us a little bit more flexibility. Does that help, Troy?
Well, we can also talk a little bit about not just government. We're trying to figure out, and again, we're new at all this, so we are just trying to work all this with legal, but we are looking at ways that we can have a mirror image of what the government's doing provided for industry. So government comes in with a collaborative project orders and say, we want to put this or use this in the tech grove. Well, we're putting equipment in and making it available for industry. We're trying to figure out a way that industry can use their IRAD dollars to help pay for the burden that, is put on the facilities for them to come in and do that work. Again, it's all, legal implications, and flippantly calling it IRAD to Credo, where the idea would be, you've got your IRAD dollars and you come in, and Credos would be the means to interact with government, but as part of that would be paying the third party, UCFRF, that manages the tech growth for their cost and burden, so that we're looking long-term that it's not just on the government's back that we're paying for this capability, that it becomes truly collaborative, and that we get benefit out of it. We're just working out those details right now.
Right. Thanks. Does that help, Troy? Let me say, so the other thing I wanted to talk about real quickly, since I've got a little bit of time, I think, is the Starbase. I mentioned that going through the slides, and I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with it, but we're very proud of this. So we're going to have the first in 10 years, so in a decade, the first time that the Navy has had a Starbase. And the Starbase is an OSD initiative for 5th graders. So OSD is funding us to stand up a place to allow 5th graders to come into our environment and to learn, and it will be their science curriculum for the day. So we'll have different cohorts coming through the space. So we're going to do that in one of our partnership buildings. So that's just off base. And that's we have an agreement that we just signed with National Center for Simulation, NCS. So they're the ones that are going to be managing that. And although the agreement with OSD and with NCS is not TSD, that's also a Team Orlando kind of collaborative effort, because the part of the Starbase theory is that they want military and government people to be around the students so that the students see the opportunities in the future. So we'll all be helping with that.
Awesome. We have a time for maybe one, maybe two more questions, if you guys have them. Are there any questions online, Jen? Okay.
While we're waiting for the next question, for those of you who are here in person, would love to invite you out to actually take a tour of our Tech Grove space when we're done here. We actually have a digital twin of our Tech Grove set up in our booth outside, so come check us out.
Just a little bit, guys. I didn't really know. I've heard digital twin all the time. I just didn't take time to Google it yet. It is phenomenal. You have to go outside. It's on the big, nice, fancy TV. And you can actually like take a walk through the space like you're in there. I feel like I'm in a video game, but it's just from a computer and it's on the TV. So definitely check it out. Lots of booths outside. Check it out. And still, again, always pushing. Check out what the Marines are doing over in the shop and doing their prototyping. I'm definitely going to go and take the virtual audience sometime today to go over there and see and talk with them. So thank you. If there's no more questions, we'll get ready to go to the next stage. Thanks, Tech Grove.
Thank you, Garden. Bye.
I think I have like 2 more minutes. No, maybe I'll just talk about. Oh, we're up, so we're ready to go. So we're a couple minutes ahead of time. We'll go ahead and do that. So welcome back on our global stage side. Mike is so tall he blocks the camera, or I'm so short that I should have eaten more fruits and vegetables as a kid. All right, so our next presenter is Mike Lavery. So as folks come in from the room over the summit stage to this room, we'll let folks come in. I do an intro and then I turn over to you, because then everyone goes, yeah, you can take your mask off. Yeah. So then, all right, where were we? Mike Lavery. So we had Holly Leonard talking from Nywick Land about her nice proposal where she brought in user-centered design. And now today we've got Mike Lavery here, and Mike and I met we just sort of ended up at the same restaurant. I went out to dinner with Rick Tarr, my good friend. He's a good friend of mine, and we met Mike there, and we started talking about the CAW, and then how to really try to get some metrics about what we're doing. But beyond that is just starting this up, that the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting, Human-Centered Design, how it's coming more popular within the Department of Navy, and really popular with the Marines. So you've done a lot of work with the Marines, and I hope you're going to talk about a little bit of that today. But I would offer that you take a listen to this, because everybody's all about understanding more about the call. They want all of Mike's time. And I think you've got a big event coming up next week at NOC AD. Is that right, Mike?
Yep. We're doing a train the trainer coinciding with a workshop
at a Warfare Center. So that's fantastic. Fantastic and terrific. Mike Lavery, everyone.
Thank you, Steve. Yes. My name is Mike Lavery. I'm the director for the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting. And unfortunately, none of the Marines could make it, or sailors, or airmen, or soldiers that I get the privilege to work with. And I really apologize for that. Next slide. So our mission is to adapt industry best practices for the warfighter. What does that mean? We come to their unit and we provide them training right now in military scrum and human-centered design. We call it warfighter-centered design because everyone in this room is here for, at least in my opinion, should be here for one primary reason. That is the warfighter. And if you don't think the warfighter is the primary reason we're here, we can talk about it after the fact. But I will also challenge you that you are all warfighters. And one of the guys that I train with, his name is Mackenzie Gage. He's down at University of Florida now, doing recruiting and running the ROTC. He challenged one of the students one day, and I loved it. If you work with the warfighters, if you help them be smarter, faster, quicker, you provide technology for them, if you make them more lethal, or hey, how about the fact that like maybe we make them less lethal? We give them the decision-making tools to make the right decision on whether or not to pull that trigger or press that button that launches that missile or something like that. So that's why I challenge all of you that you are warfighters. Next slide. And I apologize, I'm not used to slidemanship because we don't use slides in our classes. This is kind of the end state. With the tools that we teach the Marines, the sailors, like I said, now we're in the Air Force. We're in the Army as well. These are the outcomes. Improved naval integration. What does that mean? Well, like I was in a room where Staff Sergeant Chloe Honjo from the United States Marine Corps sat down with a bunch of colonels and majors in the Army, and they had an amazing discussion about how the Marine Corps and the Army could work together to do better ship-to-shore maneuvers and test in Alaska. We set up those environments to enable those conversations to get more capabilities to the warfighter that actually matter. Next slide. This is where we're at. We're in Japan, we're in Alaska, J-Bear and Ellison Air Force Base. We're in Camp Lejeune, here at Naval X, Fort Bragg, Fort Campbell. Both of those locations, we have facilitators there. They don't have an official call yet. Sorry, when I say call, it's not like I'm going to give you a call. CAW, that's our short little acronym for the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting. We have probably trained closer to 6,000 to date because I haven't tallied this final quarter's numbers. Next slide. I can't forget about McTissa over in Call West. I apologize. This is kind of our timeline. We were founded by Marines down at NCCSS Schoolhouse. Then in 2019, we fell underneath Naval X. We had 3 calls in the beginning. During COVID, we actually expanded. We gained the 2 calls in Westpac and at J-Bear. And this was, I created this slide for a presentation back in January. This was kind of like our goal for the year. Next slide, please. Just some user stories. I apologize. It's kind of like a tough read. But the point of some of the user stories, we have Marines down at 2nd Maintenance Battalion running scrum in all the high bays. You walk around and see scrum boards. They actually have a permanent mountain, which is our Warfighter Center design curriculum, on the wall. And they use that for problem curation. If they have a problem, they can just walk up to the board and start throwing stickies up. They've used Scrum to plan exercises. They've used Scrum to put planes on islands rather quickly and do some sneaky stuff and then come back in less than 45 minutes. They used Warfighter Center Design to actually plan that mission, and then Scrum to actually get everyone trained up. Can't really talk too much about that. Next slide, please. So here's just some of the pictures of our classes. One of my favorite stickies, it feels like it's actually possible to make a change in the Corps. That's the power that our classes have for these people. Next slide. Just some more stuff. We actually eat our own dog food. Like, this is how we plan out this was our planning session in December, I think it was. And like, this is how we plan out how we're going to do business for the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting. Next slide, please. Our objectives and key results. Sorry, I'm going to use an acronym. So we're actually trying to hit goals, hit targets. We're not just randomly doing anything. Another thing I'm really proud about is 99% Net Promoter Score. And actually it's 99.9%, but I couldn't make it 100%. Once again, student breakdown, mostly Marine Corps because most of our in-person classes are at Marine Corps bases. But as you can see, Army, Air Force, we actually have 16 or 19 people from the Coast Guard. So we're all over the place. We're actually starting to hold classes at MPS. So we're getting the young leaders of the Navy and the Marine Corps. We've had 2 classes there. Next slide. All right. And this is a really cool one. I started, like, the Marine Corps has the coin challenge and everything. So, like, during our classes, I came up with the idea of, like, hey, why don't you put your command logo up there? And there's probably about 30 or 40 missing from here because we just had too many to track. But these are all the different commands that we have either trained or have come through our remote classes. And now, because I actually, do I have any more slides? I don't think I do. Nope. All right. So now to give you guys a little bit of an experience in the environment that we actually create for the classroom, I'm going to put you through one of our icebreakers. And I apologize to the people online. I don't know if we can actually put you in breakout rooms. But the 2 rooms here, you guys can do this. Ashley, if you're still over there, if you can help them time box. So what we're going to do is the 2-minute conversation drill. I need you to find someone you do not have cardinal knowledge of. I need you to find who they are, where they're from, why or what the driver was for them coming to the Agility Summit, and then what surprised them. And you will have to outbrief this to the people in the room. So you got about 30 seconds to find someone you don't know, and then I'll start the 2-minute clock. All right, 2 minutes on the clock. Okay, you got 1 minute left, so make sure you hear from the second person. All right, time's up. Gotta have everyone bring it back to the center of the room. All right. So, all right. How about you introduce?
We ran out of time. I got him.
Okay.
Hi, Bob Nichols. So I was just introduced to next to me, Sean Davis. He's employed. He's part of the workforce, NSWC Crane. He represents the Smarts OTA. So anyway, so he's from Indiana. He came here today for lessons learned, best practices, challenges, and how people are overcoming those challenges. And one of the things that caught his attention was the SBIR transition.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. All right. How are you?
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Stay on camera.
You go for it.
Okay. So this is Anna Walker, and Anna Walker, I found out, works for PEO IWS, and I've actually worked with I've met with PEO IWS before, but I did not know Anna, so that was surprising to me. But she works on human-centered design, design thinking, and user-centered design throughout the Navy. And her most surprising thing was that design thinking is more prevalent around the Navy than she thought.
Awesome.
Hello, so this is Dave. He presented yesterday. He represents PEO MLB, and similar to my organization, they work a lot with user-centered design and design thinking and teaching those best practices to Navy personnel so that they can then implement them in their own offices. What he was most surprised about was how many different pockets of innovation exist throughout the military and the Navy specifically. So yeah,
Awesome.
Dave.
Can we get like one more?
You want to go?
So this here is Lieutenant Chris Britt from NPS. He's a student there and is working on, it would be more like AUV comms research there at NPS, looking for and exploring different, industry applications that can be applied, for his research, and also, ensuring there's all the security and cyber compliance that goes with it. So that's kind of what I can. You want to add anything?
Awesome. Thank you. So this is just one of the icebreakers that we use at the beginning of some of our classes. And what we do for our classes, we keep you engaged. Like I said, we do not present anything on the slide deck. We use practices that we've learned from people like Think Wrong, IDEO, and the Marines and the sailors sit there and we war game. All right, how can we apply this to the warfighter, or how can we provide this to the DoD members? And so our primary customer is the Department of Navy, but like I said, we've expanded, and I've really enjoyed it. So I want to do one more exercise if you guys don't mind standing up. Form a straight line, probably starting here, and face that way. And if you don't feel like participating, I understand, but that's whatever you're comfortable with. You do have room to spread out, though. Can you come with me, sir? All right, so this is called whispering down the lane.
Okay.
You're going to tap the person on the shoulder. They're going to turn around.
Okay.
You're going to ride a pony.
Ride a pony?
And then be scared.
Be scared. The pony be scared? Okay.
That's what I want you to do.
Okay, perfect.
But wait for me to tell you.
Perfect.
All right. Come with me, sir. All right. So the rules of this game are you cannot turn around until you're tapped on the shoulder. The person behind you is going to show you something. And then you're going to have to turn around, tap the person in front of you on the shoulder, and show them what the previous person showed them. That makes sense? All right. So tap them on the shoulder, sir. We may have to stop this a little early. How am I doing on time? I just realized my time box. Am I so good on time? Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to stop with you, sir, since the table's in the way. We're going to stop with you, okay? Guys, we're going to stop with him since the table's in the way. But
I was wondering how
now you have to tap him on the shoulder and show him what you just saw. Turn around. Yep. Now you show him. All right. So, show me what you saw. Show me what you saw. All right. If everyone can sit down, can you show me what I showed you in the other room? All right. So please take your seats. All right. One. Okay, hold on. So, can anybody tell me what the point of this game was? Communication? Anything else? Okay. That's fine, but like, So some people just, one, they didn't hear my instructions, so they didn't know to turn around. And maybe that's bad on me as the lead of the facilitator. Maybe I need to be more clear in my instructions. Like you said, you needed to hear it again. Happens all the time in work, right? You think you hear what someone says, you think you have the same perspective, but like you don't have that conversation. Hey, this is what I heard. This is what I saw. This is what my perception of the task is. Am I correct? How many times do you actually do that? Ask someone, am I correct? Did I hear you right? Right. So we do this exercise in our military scrum class to teach people the importance of the definition of done. Everyone has to have the same definition of done, or you're gonna start making assumptions. We all know what assumptions do, right? So I will stop there. I invite all of you, as long as you're a direct support contractor, government employee, you can attend our classes. And I apologize for those who aren't. I wish I could teach you, but it is a free class and we cannot provide free services. The last thing I want to do is open it up to questions and go ahead.
Would really love this. That's fine.
Yeah, so we have an executive leadership workshop that we do on request. We've done it for Naval. We have one coming up in September, but that's a per request. That's not something like we just periodically do because it takes a lot of coordination to get the right people in the right room. You know what I mean? So like, but yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely want to emphasize we are a volunteer organization. I am the only person who is paid to support the call. And I kind of volunteered to be here. I'm a naval ex-rotational. So we did all those classes with a bunch of volunteers who are passionate to teach people like yourselves about Scrum, human-centered design. Any other questions? Any questions online too?
So Mike doesn't do enough justice for the classes that he do. So I have to like amp him up. I would like to tell you, I've taken lots of trainings. I'm a sucker for knowledge, any kind of training, all the personality tests, whatever it is, I will do it. One day, another organization came and was teaching a class about Agile Scrum in our facility. And I watched it and I was disappointed. I'm the facilities manager. I facilitate trainings. I was disappointed that I allowed that to even happen in our building because the classes that the Center for Adaptive Warfighting has done are literally the best, most immersive classes I've ever taken. Whether it was online, I've taken them online and in person. I facilitate both. And I want to jump in as a student sometimes because it's like, it's not only engaging, it's fun. It goes down into the deep things that you need. Like there's design thinking and military scrum master that they teach. You can learn it so many different ways, but one thing just like it's short, it's quick, and you learn a lot. And I've seen people literally implement it every day, like the next day. And I don't know any other trainings that you really have to do that, where it's another class and a follow-up and this and that. But literally, if you guys can sign up, it is CAC enabled, behind a CAC enabled firewall, take the class. I can guarantee you, like, I won't pay you if you don't like it because it's free anyway, right? But I can guarantee you won't be disappointed.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll turn it over. Thank you for your time.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys liked the little icebreaker that we kind of showed you guys to kind of get yourselves up stretching. And most of these things, you got to sit all day. Let me let you know, in those type of trainings, if you go in person, it's definitely a standing thing. I don't know. They just did a train the trainer last week at SoCal, right? Another thing that we're offering, if you've taken the classes for Center for Adaptive Warfighting, you can actually take a train the trainer course. We're running one next week at NOC AD. I don't know if there's any spots left. Find Mike and he'll let you know. But a few weeks ago, they did it at the SoCal Tech Bridge in a center like this, a co-working space. They brought in people to train. We say, how do we scale these things? Because Center for Adaptive Warfighting, we can't do this with 1 or 2 people. We're trying to change the mindset with a team of maybe 2 to 3, and then volunteers the last few years trained up to about 6,000 people literally around the government. And so one of the things is now making the trainers. After you take the class, like I took the class one day, I gave it to some Marines the next day. That's how easy it was to train the techniques. No, I couldn't answer all the questions, but that's why you have usually like some top cover, someone that's been more involved. So want to introduce Steve Harvey. Like I think he's better than the actual, like the famous Steve Harvey. You know, I like the ball thing you got going on. It's like, you know, Mr. Clean mixed with Steve Harvey charm. He got all of that. But he's the Tech Bridge director. I'm glad. I've heard his name come up in all of the Tech Bridge conversations. Never got to meet him in person, so that was a good fun thing to do. So, Steve,
pleasure is all on this side of the stage.
Nice.
Thanks, Ashley. Hey, good morning, everybody. If you can't hear me, just give me a wave or something in the back. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Steve Harvey. I'm an active duty major, the director of the Naval X SoCal Tech Bridge. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about our 5G Living Lab and electric mobility efforts at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. Before we get too much into that, I just want to talk really a little bit of background on the Tech Bridge and why I think we're successful. So, we leverage the convergence of installations, industry, and research in our area to unlock emerging technologies through non-traditional partnerships. We've got a dense population of installations and military in Southern California, real people with real missions trying to solve real problems. We've got a deep roster of tech companies in San Diego, the country's 8th largest city. And we've got dozens of research universities that we leverage trying to figure out new ways of doing business and unlocking technology through them as well. We believe that a collaborative market can be established that enables mutually beneficial opportunities for DoD and commercial industry to partner. This collaborative market is the foundation for a better business model, which unlocks the future of DoD R&D, requirements development, and prototyping. Each of our efforts at the SoCal Tech Bridge have to accomplish at least 2 things. 1, close our knowledge gaps on the technology being explored, and 2, develop the concepts of employment around that technology for national defense. All right, so we'll get into the 5G Living Lab at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar first. Let's see if these, yes, it worked. So 5G is more about making your phone faster. The promise of high bandwidth, low latency enables us to share more information faster. It tightens the kill chain by speeding up the decision-making process. Well, we've been enamored over the past several years with edge compute. 5G enables us to push that information back off the edge into the cloud, making us lighter at the edge. And it's the enabling technology that makes connected and autonomous vehicles possible. Connected vehicles, we did a 90-day pilot with a autonomous shuttle called Ollie, built by a company called Local Motors and automated by another company called Robotic Research. There's a lot of information that you collect and need to pass when you're operating an autonomous shuttle. And trying to keep all of that on board is onerous, right? It's tough. So you have to have some way of offloading that data in real time. And what we learned through this autonomous shuttle pilot was that you could do that through 5G. We also learned that just passing information or having sensors on board the vehicle, LiDAR, computer vision enabled cameras, isn't enough to ensure the safe operation, the efficient operation that you want out of connected and autonomous vehicles. So we've been envisioning this idea of thousands of 5G enabled sensors, both on fixed infrastructure, placing them into other manned vehicles. for the purpose of achieving truly autonomous and connected roadways. For counter intrusion, this is the concept of keeping bad guys out and building situational awareness on our installation. The approach we're taking with 5G is multifaceted, not just focused on gate security or counter UAS, although those things are what we're doing, but rather holistically and using the concept of a digital fortress to complement our physical fortress. In Force Design 2030, the Commandant of the Marine Corps directed the reduction of 2 law enforcement battalions, right? So with that reduction in our law enforcement personnel, we have to figure out ways to enable them to do their job, with a reduced footprint. So, and this gets tricky, right? Because when you start to introduce technology, the first question is, well, if I'm overloading my law enforcement battalions with technology, or my provost marshal office with technology that helps them do their job better, well, I can start to pull that structure back, right, and apply it somewhere else. Well, no, not when you just reduce the force by 2 battalions, right? So it's all about enabling the remaining forces that we have to do their job better, provide those force protection and public safety operations. All right, and energy communication. So on Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, we've got dozens of disparate energy devices, solar arrays, backup generators, backup battery storage, all over the 6.5 square miles of Mainside Miramar, but also some out in the 14,500 acres of East Miramar, east of Interstate 15. And right now, they're largely disconnected, right? So we have to go out and do preventative maintenance on them rather than conditions-based maintenance. We don't know the health of those devices until they break. So we want to connect them using 5G. And 4G LTE as well. And what that does for us is it helps us to reduce the length of time to accomplish that mission, because we're not going through site approvals, we're not going through environmental reviews, and then also the very cost prohibitive trenching of fiber, miles and miles all over the installation. All right, so how did this really happen? The 5G Living Lab. Back in 2017, we stood up the autonomous vehicle proving grounds at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. And what that did was it opened the door to companies like Qualcomm, who was loading all of their equipment into cars and driving it to Arizona to test because of California regulations. Well, on federal installations, we don't have that, those same regulations. And Qualcomm said, hey, can we come test our autonomous vehicles at your proving grounds? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. That's why we did it. And so they came over and they started testing. What we learned from them, what that did really was it gave us access to Qualcomm, the way they think about how they're doing business. It gave us access to their market forecast. But how it applies here is, we learned through them that 5G was going to be the enabling technology that makes connected and autonomous vehicles possible. They turned us on to the city of San Diego, and then we had that MOU with them. And through that, we learned or met and created a partnership with Verizon. And then shortly thereafter, well, not so shortly, this is the government, we created a cooperative research and development agreement with Verizon, which opened the door for them to come in and install the first ultra-wideband 5G small cell on any DoD installation. By the end of the calendar year, we'll have 25 nodes operating in almost complete coverage of Mainside Miramar. All right, move on here. I'll tell you what, before we move on, hey, does anybody have any questions about the 5G Living Lab? We'll do it that way. Okay. Sure, we can. Yeah. So last year we ran a 5G prize challenge, looking for companies that are making 5G enabled technology. It was dozens of really good companies that submitted white papers, and ultimately we selected 4 of them. Don't ask me to list all of them, but a couple were V-Rotors, GenXCom. These are companies who are kind of pushing the envelope of what's possible with 5G. Ensign's have been a great partner. We're still tied into them very closely in the region, working on additional pitch challenges, but also kind of noodling on the tough, sticky problems that we have for the DoD.
As far as in reference to the work you're doing, are Are you working with the National Spectrum Consortium with all their 5G initiatives that are ongoing between the smart bases, the expeditionary air base operations, and so forth? Are you working in that environment?
Yeah, so we're doing that kind of work through our partnership. Well, I shouldn't say partnership, through the 5G program office under research and engineering at the Pentagon. Yeah, so we're exploring, the operate through program. If you're familiar, this is all about how to, I don't want to say, well, I will say it, scavenge host nation cellular comms and things like that.
So is the information that the results of the test and the OTAs that are being done today, are they sharing that information with you? Test. Are they sharing that information across the board? Because they're doing quite a few things in different environments, whether it's a training environment, whether it's in the tactical environment, doing ship to shore, and things like that. So I was just curious if there's a synergy between the two labs, that the work you're doing in the lab in the Marine Corps been actively involved in the 5G.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a weekly call, 5G IPT that we all dial into, and that's one of the ways we share information. That's on the Department of the Navy side, and then the 5G program office at the Pentagon also has a bi-weekly working group that we dial into and share information. And so, yeah, there is synergy. Everyone is aware of what everyone else is doing, or can be if they dial in. Any other questions before we move on? Hey, Jen, can you just advance the slide for me? Hello? There we go. I heard that. All right. So one of our major efforts, and the newest, is electric mobility. When people think of electric mobility, they're typically thinking about the vehicle itself and like maybe the charger, but the ecosystem of the Electron is so much broader. In line with the president's directive to decarbonize the non-tactical fleet of vehicles and our Governor Newsom's order that the sale of vehicles with internal combustion engines, be prohibited in California, the next 15 years. All this requires us to think through the second and third order effects. We snapped our fingers and transformed the fleet into all electric vehicles today. We'd blow every circuit on every installation across the globe. So it's on us to figure out how we're going to smartly take the measured steps that will support the electrification of our fleet. So right now at Marine Corps Station Miramar, I'm not sure if folks on this side of the room can see, but on this left side here, we're talking about the sourcing of energy. And so we have on Miramar in particular, we've got our solar arrays. We source methane gas from the landfill that's directly to our south. Generators, battery storage. There's multiple ways to source energy. And then we've got our microgrid and our cellular comms to control that energy. Now, we're pretty mature on the left side here. We can always get better. It's not perfect. Our energy manager would love to tell you all about how we're not perfect, but we're still really, really good, kind of leading the charge for DoD installations, I think. Certainly Marine Corps installations. On the right side of the slide here, these are the areas where we think it is target-rich environments. So how do we smartly charge the vehicles? Which platforms do we source for which particular services? And then how do we smartly move the people, packages, and power across our installations? And those are the things we're trying to get after. And one of the ways that we did that was on the, let's see if I can get this thing here. Oh, it worked. We hosted an electric mobility symposium back in June. We brought about 25 companies. We had local, state, federal government, hosted panels with the California Energy Commission chair, Mr. Joe Bryan, the climate energy advisor to Secretary Austin. Lots of really, really smart folks in one area to learn more about where commercial industry is going with electric vehicles and the infrastructure that supports, and then how we might leverage private capital to get after modernizing our installations in this way. And that event was like very, very good. Lots of momentum generated from that, which led us to last month we hosted a design workshop. following the Electric Mobility Symposium, we brought together executives from large and small electric vehicle manufacturers, private capital firms, local, federal, state governments again, and to include the Department of Energy and Department of Transportation to bring that diverse experience and expertise into the room so we can diverge and brainstorm and then converge on opportunities to get after this tough problem. This is where my background in Naval X's Center for Adaptive Warfighting came into play. We used everything that Mike talked about in the room next door previously with these executives, and we also used the brand new facilitators from the Train the Trainer course that happened the week before. And there's some risk in that, right? It's tough to tell a CEO that you're going to be on your feet for 10 hours in 85-degree heat, getting after this problem, right? But what I thought was going to be just spears thrown at me at the end of the day turned out that they all loved it. These are industry, executives in high leverage positions that took the time to come out and help us learn more about how to solve the electrification of the fleet problem. So I think it speaks to the training and the outputs you can get from the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting, but also it shows that industry wants to partner with government and help us solve problems. Following that, we believe we can create mobility hubs on our installations that link with mobility hubs in our community. And to do that, we're leveraging the wealth of knowledge in the commercial market. Our research universities, we're tied in very heavily with UCSD, our University of California in San Diego, and the local governments, the San Diego Association of Governments, to learn more about what commuters are doing in our area, what they need. And we're exploring how to leverage private capital to back our efforts towards those service contracts that can meet the user need, both on the installation operations side, moving people and tools and goods on the flight line, but also, quality of life matters for the Marines and sailors that live on our installation, getting them off the installation and into the community. All right, next slide here. All right, this is one of my favorite slides because it simplifies in one picture something that's pretty super complex to get after. Essentially, the DoD used to be the epicenter of research and development in our country, right? Commercial technologies were spun out of government R&D efforts, but that's no longer the case. It's reversed, right? So the relationship is shifted, but we don't necessarily treat it that way. Commercial industry is pouring billions of dollars into research and development, but we still expect that they're going to come to us. And so unless it fires a bullet or a missile or a rocket, commercial industry outside of the traditional primes that we do business with are doing it better. We have to put the onus on ourselves to go engage with industry and recognize when the time is to spin out that commercial technology for military application. We missed out on 4G LTE because we weren't paying attention. We essentially missed out on cloud technology because we weren't paying attention. And now those technologies are super expensive, especially cloud. And now we're trying to play catch up, right? So again, one of my favorite slides. I think it tells a complex story extremely simply. All right, so how do we do it at the SoCal Tech Bridge? Well, all right, so this is your traditional government employee who needs to buy a widget. And typically the way we do business is we look at things through the lenses of contracts and legal reviews, right? Well, that's obviously not working well. So we believe that you need to start with an aspirational vision and then walk hand in hand down that road toward that aspirational vision with industry. And it's been working out for us really, really well. What we found is that you don't create a barrier between yourself and the commercial partner who has a technology you need to do your job better. They open the doors. You gain access to the way that they do business inside the organization. You gain access to their market forecasts and where they think the technology is going and how they think it should be used, which unlocks our imagination about painting it green and ruggedizing it, right? We've got dozens of really, really good partners who are banging down our doors to work with us because of this model. It's the human-to-human contact. It's not, I'll talk to you in 6 months when my contracting office gets done reviewing this statement of work or whatever. All right, and so here's our operating model. This is really where we get the work done. We've got up at the top of that triangle, if everyone can see, what we call next strategy. This is the resourcing and the requirement development, the doctrine. This is where we have engagements with all of the potential stakeholders that might be interested in the work that we're doing. And we translate all of the information that we're learning through NextSource, the industry engagement, the new technologies, the emerging technologies. We translate all of that learning through our NextSTEP program, run by the talented Marissa Brand, who you'll hear from here shortly. She manages about 50 principal investigators at Naval Information Warfare Center Pacific, who take the information that we're learning from industry, translate it into military vernacular so that we can go engage the stakeholders at the department and service levels that might be interested in what we're doing. All right. I'm going to leave this slide up and then turn it over for questions.
Can you hear me? All right. On the previous slide, you talked about aspirational visions. How do you see the balance between government and industry buying a widget because it's cool and then trying to find a problem versus looking at problems and gaps that are currently there and then trying to bridge that with industry?
Yeah, so there's two different things there, right? And so I have this conversation a lot with like base operations folks and people who are dealing with problems right now, that there is a solution out there right now. And I always contend that there is a person that does that. There's somebody out there right now who can go help you solve that problem, but that doesn't need to be us. So we're looking 10, 15 years out at emerging technologies to learn more about them so that, again, when the time is right, we know exactly when to spin it out, how to paint it green, and how to ruggedize it. There's a lot of goodness in solving those very tactical problems right now for people, but we try to stay on the strategic side of things. We've got a question back in there.
Thank you. Just operationally speaking, what are you doing about the security of 5G being deployed on a military base? The frequency allows you to pick up all kinds of things. The electronics that you're using, are you sure that your commercial partners are sourcing every little transistor and every little microprocessor from a trusted
It's a great question. And so I'll start with, I'm the reason that cybersecurity experts exist, right? Like, I don't want to deal with it, so other people need to. I'll say this about the 5G Living Lab. If I didn't mention it before, it is a full commercial 5G network on our installation. It's not a private network. And so what that means to me is, and this goes for any industry partner that wants to do well inside their company, right? Their entire focus is to produce a product or a service that makes them money. They are completely dependent, or their existence is completely dependent on their ability to deliver high quality products. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I trust entirely that it's secure, right? That's impossible. But to get after that, we're commissioning studies from the Naval Postgraduate School to figure out, cybersecurity matters on the 5G network as it exists for our energy comms project. And then we've got other initiatives with Verizon and Idaho National Labs coming up to really get into the details of 5G cybersecurity. It's a good question. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Just wait for the mic real quick.
Yeah, this is a question regarding the potential, how we're mitigating the potential EMP attack of a sort. Like, are we bringing in some technologies that are protecting the whole base, or are we starting to look at something more across the bases to mitigate that risk? An EMP attack?
An EMP attack?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't know. That's not my area of expertise, nor is it a strategic technology area of ours. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question.
So in referencing the transition of your program to other bases potentially, and where the three major carriers own the majority of the 5G spectrum, how do you're working with Verizon and Qualcomm, how do you plan on transitioning that where spectrum is not available?
Where would the spectrum not be available?
Well, you'd have to buy it, right? Or you'd have to go to that carrier to get that spectrum.
So are you talking about scaling to other installations and who do they partner with and how do they get 5G onto their installations?
Correct.
Yeah. So my advice to all of those installations would be to, again, form a relationship early, walk down that road with the company that that they are comfortable working with, a good partner for them. And unfortunately, I don't know that there's going to be too many other opportunities to achieve a essentially free commercial network on installations. And frankly, I don't know that there are a lot of installations or commands out there that are really interested in commercial 5G technology for their installations. I think that's unfortunate. I think that 5G should just be a commodity the way that 4G is on installations now. But the reality of it is that a lot of commanders, a lot of installation commanders, unit commanders, they want their information secure, and so they're going to opt for, I think, private networks, and that's why you have the two tranches, tranche one, tranche two. Johannes?
Just wanted to kind of ask about your partnership or if there is any connection with the other DoD pilot 5G testbed sites, DoD and Department of Navy. There are several other bases installations. Are you guys integrated into those or how are you connected?
Are you asking if we are integrated with the tranches, the other 12 sites?
Yep.
Yeah, so through our work with 5G programs and research engineering at the Pentagon, we're getting insight into what it is that they're doing and what they need. But there is no, so I know Tom Collins from NIWC Pacific. I know Fritz Duran from McTissa. They're managing Tranche 2 at Pendleton. We stay tied in with those folks and kind of track what they're doing. I think a lot, at least recently, a lot of the awareness has kind of shifted and the focus is they're looking at us, right, and how we're doing business. Obviously, it's a different use case, right? We've got a commercial network. They're trying to build tactical ones. But we're learning from each other in that way. The lessons learned, problems, things like that. We're sharing those things definitely. Anybody else? All right. Well, I will be here all day. I'm happy to take the conversation offline and discuss more. So please seek me out. All right. Thanks.
So, thank you so much. And I always thought 5G was like Terminator life. I know it's coming, guys. You watch. But it's always good to hear. But 5G is, except from just the commercials from T-Mobile for my phone. So appreciate that. Thank you so much. So yes, I have a few more minutes before we're gonna move over to the next stage again. Definitely want to highlight our Marines and I'm gonna say that all day because they're fantastic and what they're learning is amazing and building momentum. Our partnership intermediary agreement team, they're always great in what they do with the Marines and teaching them how to innovate in the field. So, yep. So we'll see you guys back in a few minutes on the other stage.
You're supposed to say how impressed you are. That's so. Hey, welcome over to the global stage. I'm going to talk for just a little bit, and then we're going to transition over to our next speakers. But I did hear an interesting question over at the 5G Living Lab discussion with Major Steve Harvey. One of the questions were, how do you know all the technological components within the system are of U.S. made and not counterfeit or from some nefarious type of actor trying to get at our information. So that's a really good question, and it is a challenge. There's a lot of chatter about it that you'll read online about how are we checking these parts? How are we making sure that the parts are not counterfeit? How are we making sure that the parts are from a whatever we consider a non-nefarious country or a non-nefarious manufacturer, any of those type of things. So that was a good question that came out from that group over there. So if there is any interest in that, I would look at the National Defense Strategy, and I'm blanking right now on the other document to take a look at to see if you can garner some information from that. And then also check out the broad agency announcements. So the BAAs, the broad agency announcements, those will have in solicitations that we're asking for information for industry, warfare center workers, and Don workforce. You can't answer a BAA, but industry can. So take a look at those and see if there's anything in there that would scratch the itch of that. Now, for our Don workforce, you can take a look at what we've been talking about today, and then you can make a proposal for a nice proposal. The Naval Innovation Systems Engineering funds, the 219 funds that they're often called, and put in a proposal to take 219 funds and run an experiment. So you can do a tech transition into a program of record, workforce development, so you can learn something. If you want to go to a school, or maybe go to a school and then be train the trainers. So that's tech transition, workforce development. You can also do basic and applied research under that. So we had some applied physics folks here yesterday chattering up about that. And then you can also, the fourth category is base improvement. Laboratory infrastructure improvement. So if we, let's say, want to do cloud computing and we don't have the right computers, Don Workforce, you could write a proposal that says, hey, I want to buy $500,000 of equipment, and we're going to do this with the equipment. That's totally acceptable, and that would be routed up through your the NICE board, and then they would vote on that to see if you can make that proposal. And then there's a fifth category that's come out at some of the Naval Warfare Centers. It's called Seedling funding or rapid innovation. This is where Don Workforce members, if you get something from the Fleet Marine Force or the fleet and want to do something quickly and have time and space, you can put in for something that's around 30 or 50K. So that's an interesting thing. And remember, Don Workforce, a nice proposal does not have to be like millions of dollars. If it's 20K or 10K, put in for it. And I encourage you, if it's 20K, 30K, ask the PEOs, ask your project sponsors if they can provide some funding for that. So I've talked a little bit about NICE proposals. I've talked a little bit about BAAs. Let's talk about that non-FAR based strategy called OTA. And that's who we have here with us today. So yesterday you heard from, I forgot the gentleman that briefed one of the OTA consortiums within the Navy, but that was run by ATI. You've heard me talk about ATI. Well, today we have Smarts here from Crane. So I've got Sean with me. He'll talk to you. He's the program manager, the Govey program manager for S2 Smarts. And then also Brook, National Security Technology Accelerator, right? That's the name of the consortium that does that. So the consortium, we've got ATI in the back, and I apologize to Smarts because I said, oh, there's ATI is here. They're a consortium. You guys have been out there just as long, and I paid no attention, and you should have come and shook me a little bit and said, hey, man, what about us? What about Crane, right? So without any further discussion, I want to introduce Sean, the Govey lead, and Brook, the PM for the consortium. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Smarts is housed at NSWC Crane. That's Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane in the middle of Indiana. Yes, we do have a naval base in Indiana. SMART stands for Strategic and Spectrum Missions Advanced Resilient Trusted Systems. It's a mouthful. But we cover the technical areas within those, if you look at strategic missions, think of nuclear deterrence, trusted microelectronics, radiation hardening, things of that nature. When you talk about spectrum, you're looking at RF systems, optoelectronics, electronic attack systems. So those are the kind of things that we have a real interest in at Crane, and stood this up to support those areas. So Brook Pine is the director for the Smarts Consortium with NSTXL. And Brook, if you'd like to say anything to introduce yourself, go for it.
Sure. So there's a lot in the room, several folks in the room that I've worked with previously. I was a 17-year civilian. I left about 2 years ago to come over and support the Smarts OTA. So first of all, it's good to see most of you that I've worked for previously or worked with previously. And hopefully we're able to kind of showcase a few things that we do a little different, some of the success that we're seeing, and some of the engagement within the ecosystem that we're really excited about seeing in those technology areas that Sean mentioned.
If we go to the next slide. So what makes Smarts different? So what I thought we would do today is talk about maybe some of the things that we do differently with Smarts and within STXL as our consortium manager that I think have been really helpful in making this work. So one big thing here, so this actually just recently happened. We've had the 2371B authority for prototyping for about 2.5 years now. We've executed a large number of projects, but we had an interest in adding the research authority, the 2371A authority, and just recently awarded that to NSTXL as well. So now we have both of those under one umbrella, so we can move from the research beginning stage R&D all the way through to prototyping and production. So that's a big win for us, I think, and it helps us to move from start to finish on any number of projects. We've got an innovative collaborative process. So what does that mean? We have, NSTXL actually has a building right outside of Crane, right outside the gate. We have myself, we have NSTXL, we have our contracting team, our legal team, and our technical folks are all able to come together and meet to draft our requirements, put together a strategy, work together, and it's really helped make this successful. I'm not a contracting person. I'm actually embedded with the technical community at Crane, so I have that ability to interact with those people in the technical community and figure out what it is that they need, and then work with contracting and legal to make sure that we're covered, that we're doing things the right way. We meet the definition of a prototype, we meet the scope of our OTA, and all of us are able to work together and figure this out as we go. And it's been a really collaborative process across the board. And I think it's been really a testament to the team that we have. And I know that's kind of a sticking point for some that are in the OTA environment. Contracting and legal sometimes may not necessarily agree, but I think that team that we have at Crane has been incredibly helpful. Unique ecosystem commitment and engagement. I'll let Brook take that one.
Yeah, so we're going to share with you a couple of things that we do within the ecosystem. So what this really kind of boils down to is the ecosystem is an area that I've played in for a long time, especially when I was supporting the Navy. So it's a little bit of a passion of mine. So hopefully I don't drag out those slides for you, but I really get excited when we start talking about the ecosystem. And really what it boils down to is there's a lot of enablers within the ecosystem, and we're all targeting similar companies, similar technology areas. So for instance, Naval X and the Midwest Tech Bridge, we are hand in hand with Ann. We are collaborating on events. We're trying to pull in non-traditionals, regardless of where they go within that enabling ecosystem. We are all trying to talk to the same folks. So it only makes sense for us to pull it all together, align it, and then help them pursue anything within that ecosystem.
Next slide, please. So these are some of the key benefits of our OTA. So one, we don't have a ceiling. So we thought about that when we stood this up. We don't want to have a ceiling that's going to limit us. At Crane, we support some very large programs, especially in the microelectronics arena, pretty high dollar programs. So we wanted to be able to make sure that we could support those. So we decided against the ceiling. We did establish with options, a 10-year agreement with NSTXL to be our consortium manager. So we plan to have them with us and supporting us throughout this. And so far, we've been extremely happy with the support that we've received from them. And it's truly been a really great relationship. Smooth and aligned transition through technology maturation. So I kind of hit on that a little bit, but adding that research authority and being able to start at the very beginning stages when it's just an idea, moving it all the way through to production, I think is really key. But again, we've kind of talked about the relationship, internal and external. There's a lot of internal engagement. So Brooke actually, her and I work really close together in briefing different groups at Crane, making sure that the workforce is educated, understands what an OTA is, how to use it. So there's a lot of engagement there with the internal community at Crane, but we also do a lot of outreach outside of Crane and interact with different organizations. Come to events like these to learn about what's worked for others, what's not worked. We've done a lot of work with Strategic Institute. We went to a number of those trainings that they offered in the past and interacted with other organizations that had OTAs. And I think that engagement's really helped us get to where we are today. Did you want to say anything?
Yep.
Next slide. So project submission philosophy. So this is another area where I think we probably differ from a lot of OTAs. If you're familiar with OTAs, you've probably heard of white paper processes, maybe a white paper submission before going out with full solicitation. We don't do that. We go straight to solicitation whenever we have our requirement drafted. So one of the things that we do, we have a document called a prototype acquisition approach where we work with the technical team to draft what their requirement is, try to identify what their problem statement is, and try to get to a solution and give industry an idea of what it is we're looking for without it being too broad, right? So we want to get what we're looking for and get real solid solutions that our technical team can evaluate. So as much of those technical details that we can provide and offer to the offer in that solicitation, it's going to give us better responses back, right? So we go straight to RFS or request for solutions once we have that document drafted. We do a couple of things throughout that process as well. So, once we get proposals back, our technical teams will evaluate those. There may be questions, and the OTA environment allows you a lot of flexibility that you don't have in the far world, right? So, we may have follow-up conversations with some of those vendors to get clarification on the proposals, ask questions if there are any before we finalize our evaluation and make a selection. There's opportunities for us to do multiple awards in some cases if the funding's available. Maybe there's two different solutions that look ideal, but they're different, right? So if we have the funding, we might take both paths and maybe do a down select in the future. But there are different things that you can do. We have that engagement after award as well. It allows you that flexibility to interact with the performers as they're developing your solution, your prototype. So it's really been accepted by our technical community because they really enjoy being able to do that. It's a big benefit to them.
Yeah, the only thing that I will add here is that focus and intent, which is what we're talking about on the PAA. We spend a lot of time working in that collaborative environment to really pull that PAA together appropriately. That focus intent leads to higher quality solutions that comes back to the government. And then you add the follow-on and the dialogue and those type of aspects within the evaluation. What it equates to is focus and intent up front, high quality proposal submissions, and then that continued dialogue with the potential awardees hits a project kickoff where every single person around the table, including the support people on our side, legal, contracting, knows exactly what's going on. Project execution is instantaneously, and we're seeing higher returns in a much quicker capacity due to that type of a process flow.
Next slide, please.
I'll take this one. And no, I'm not going to read it detail by detail, but the intent of this is to really hone in on the collaboration that Sean's been talking about. So I cannot speak enough about how important it is that we have contracting, we have legal, we have the technical team, we have the NSTXL team and the support staff from NSTXL and Sean's crew at the table for every single project while we were drafting that approach. You guys, it has been key. It has been life-changing. Sean probably hears from me more often than what he wants, but reality is that's how this works. That is how we are getting to the higher quality solutions. That's how this process is flowing through in a very effective manner. And the customers are very excited to have that exchange, to have all of that ironed out from the get-go. So this collaborative environment and this back and forth really, really is foundational to who we are and how the Smarts OTA and NSTXL functions as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like Brooke mentioned, we talk pretty much every day, and I think that's really been key to the success of this OTA. And that's one of the big reasons I prefer to have that on-site support, because if we need to get contracting and legal together, if we need to get the technical team together with the consortium manager and really develop a path or iron out some details, get to a yes from contracting or legal, whatever it is we need to do, it's there. We can get everybody together at one time in person if we need to, do it virtually as well. But having that on-site support, I think, is tremendous. And another thing, so Brooke mentioned she had some time in the government there, right? So tech transition, she's got some relationships within Crane itself that have been tremendous in helping us reach various groups throughout Crane. And those relationships that she brings to the table as a former government employee, I think, have really helped us build our brand within Crane as well.
Yeah, and the only addition I will add to that is the commitment. The commitment that NSWC Crane has in this vehicle, the commitment they have to their technical departments, and the leadership commitment to make this work is really why we have this foundational aspect that we have, why we have this trusted environment that is really pushing things through in a rapid pace.
Next slide, please. So we've kind of hit on some of these things. Early stage project approach support. So I mentioned that prototype acquisition approach, or PAA document that we have. So we generally will try to get the technical team together and help them draft that requirement into this template, so that it really identifies the background of the project, what the problem is that we're trying to solve, if there's any deliverables that we want to look for, it really helps define what it is we're going to go out there and solicit, right? So we have that ability to work with that team and get that drafted quickly. We generally bring contracting and legal into the fold very early so that they can get an understanding of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Get their go ahead on, yeah, we agree it fits scope, we agree it fits the prototype definition. And so we have that commitment up front before we start moving forward. So once we get there and we have the necessary approvals on that document, we're rolling right into a request for solutions. So we're able to get that engagement up front and help move those things along quickly. And I think that really helps cut down, versus a FAR contract, for example, the amount of time it takes to get to a solicitation or even an award. So it's really tremendous. Expanded project success support. Brooke can probably hit on this a little bit better than I can.
Yeah, I can. And what this boils down to is we don't just want to fund a project and walk away, right? Our customers need to see success. How can we help facilitate, and how can we help with transition points? How can we help with phasings of projects? How can we make sure we're de-risking something that is starting to creep up in a project? And how can we make sure, again, that collaborative environment we talk about up front with legal, contracting, Sean's crew, and acquisition, how do we make sure that we have the same collaborative environment on the tail end, and that we're driving the projects to a success point? Whatever that success point is for that customer, whatever that desired outcome, that's our target. We're doing everything we can. We're mapping everything accordingly, but it really becomes about this open collaborative environment thought process that's early in the stage, migrating all the way through into project execution and marching clearly towards that success point.
So these last couple of points here, so if you're not aware of it, advance payments are not prohibited on OTAs. So this is a really big benefit to our customers. So what we've arranged for with our comptroller department is the ability to submit invoices for any milestones on a project that are due within the next 6 months, right? So day one, we make an award. Any milestones that are due in those first 6 months, we can go ahead. NSTXL can invoice us for those. What they do is they hold that money in an account. They don't disperse it to the performer until that performer completes a milestone. The government team signs off on a certificate of completion and validates that yes, it was complete and it was successful. So once that's done, they can go ahead and disperse the money to the performer. And one of the big benefits there, obviously, if you're looking at OTAs, you know, there's a lot of small businesses, non-traditional defense contractors on there that maybe need to get paid quickly. Maybe they don't have a big cash reserve sitting in their bank account. So that allows them to get paid quickly. NSTXL has already invoiced us. It's already been dispersed to them. And once that certificate of completion is signed, they can go ahead and disperse payment to the performer. So that's really key. It helps them get paid quicker. But on the other side, on the government side, so you know, if you have congressional benchmarks that you need to meet for execution with your expenditures, you know, things are expensed right out of the gate 6 months in advance. So it helps you meet those expenditure benchmarks quicker, and that's a big benefit for a lot of sponsors out there. Next slide.
I'll grab this one, Sean.
Sure.
So how much time do we have, first of all? I want to make sure we're on time.
A little over 10 minutes.
Okay, so I have to talk fast because this is the part that I love. So I'm going to have to streamline this just slightly. So let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem engagement. And I'm going to be, thank you, sir. I'm going to be very transparent. 17 years civilian, there was 2 philosophy points that really helped me make my decision to leave federal government to come out and help try to make this successful. 2 philosophy points. One of them is our open community. So at NSTXL, when you opt into our consortium, you get any and all OTAs that we have. Our consortium is not driven by the individual OTAs. What does that do? That cross-pollinates, right? So I have SMARTS, again, director for Navy driven, although all technology areas cross all of the enterprise, and we can certainly support anyone within the enterprise. We have T-Rex, it's an Army OTA out of Orlando. A lot of machine learning, training, AI. Guess what? We have AI too. We have machine learning too. So we're not doing the ecosystem any good by shutting them down into silos. We want to cross-pollinate. We want to have the colliders. We want to have the teaming environments across all the OTAs. That was a big deal for me. So in my previous role as technology transfer and SBIR and kind of the whole gamut over in the S&T and CTO arena, I spent a lot of time trying to help make those collisions happen. That broad outreach and that cross-pollination was a really, really big deal for me when I was coming outward. The other thing is open. What does that mean? Anyone can go read our RFSs. You do not have to be a member to read our opportunities. We want to pull as many innovators as we can into the communities. And again, keep in mind, we're cross-pollinating the communities with Naval X, with Tech Bridges, with all kinds of other folks that are after the same type of entities. We are cross-pollinating all the time. We are committed and invested within that innovation ecosystem. So that open environment where anyone can read an opportunity is another huge deal. At the end of the day, if Sean comes to me with a 5G opportunity that would very much align to SMARTS, and I didn't have any 5G consortium members in my membership, and I only open that opportunity to them, am I going to get the government the quality submission they need? Probably not. So that open innovation model is a really big deal for me. So even though it talks about 800 members strong down there at the bottom, we have, Miss Shelley, how many innovators within our greater network? 4,000. So you can get a distribution on everything we have going on at NSTXL. Anyone can see those emails. Shelley is our director of marketing. They do a phenomenal job doing outreach. We do paid campaigns on LinkedIn. We do one-on-one outreach. We are very, very committed to building this government-ready community. We're very committed to teaming and to the collisions. And, you know, at the end of the day, if I can make a collision and I can make a teaming agreement and they go out and they put out on an OTA, but yet they become teammates and they go out and get a different type of DoD award, we've still won. Because we have advanced the ecosystem. We are advancing Crane's critical technology areas within this ecosystem, and that's what it's about. We are invested and we are committed to the ecosystem. And if they come through our OTA and help make relationships, then that is fantastic. That's the type of stuff that we're after. So you will see us partnering with a lot of ecosystem enablers, and that's one of the key reasons why we have the space as well. Sean, I don't know if you want to add anything here or not.
I do. You know, I think that's one of the big points here that I think has really made this a strong OTA or a strong consortium for us. You know, Brook mentioned, you know, they manage 3 different OTAs, right? So these consortiums have access to any announcements from any of those government activities. So you pay a membership fee for the consortium. You're not just getting access to smarts. You're not just getting access to T-Rex. You get access to all 3. And so that gives us a broader network. Obviously, as the government team, we like that. You know, and I think it makes it important when you look at some of the teaming arrangements that are possible on some of these bigger efforts. So I think it's been key. Absolutely.
Next slide. So I'll jump on this just a little bit, and I'm going to be mindful of the time as well. And I talked about some of the teaming and some of the engagement that we do in the ecosystem and how key it is to who we are and how committed we are to making this work across the broader spectrum. So there's several different things that we do for teaming. We have a fairly active community board. Again, people go out, by OTA, by opportunity, or in NSTXL as a whole, and they find partners. They talk to each other. We do things to foster those collision and teaming events. At Smarts, we do what is called an innovator network session. So this is when we have an opportunity coming through the pipeline. We quickly do an exchange with our members and with the broader ecosystem so that they can start talking about, hey, I'm interested in this. I think I want to prime this, but I need someone that has capability X. Who out there has capability X that's interested in teaming? So we do that as early as possible within the process, and then we help foster those conversations and those collision points as well. Membership training. We are, Shelly's crew on the membership, we are constantly help members with how to maximize these events. What can you get out of it? How do you need to navigate community? What is the best way? And all while we're mindful of small businesses and non-traditionals, which is our target, that are resource constrained, right? What can we do to train them? What can we do to help make that more effective for them? So Shelly and her team are constantly engaging within the membership and the ecosystem to do that as well. Let's talk a little bit about ecosystem engagement. So early on when I come out, I knew I wanted to do some type of Smarts event series. You know, I have these crazy ideas. Those of you who worked with me before understand what that means. I wanted to do a monthly Excel series, but I didn't want it to be about Smarts. I know, right? Smarts director, but I didn't want it to be about Smart. I want to be about the ecosystem. I wanted to be about how do we educate our members or our innovators within our network about the other stuff going on in the ecosystem. Again, we're much stronger together, right? We're all after the same type of entities. We're all after the same type of technology companies. That's why I partner with Ann. That's why I partner with the SBDCs, the PTACs. That's why we're hand in hand on every opportunity we have and making those collisions happen. That Excel series is not about me. It's not about Smarts. It's not about NSTXL. It's about the commitment to the ecosystem and pulling that ecosystem together. Then we have the exchange series. It's kind of a quarterly showcase thing about some successes we're seeing on Smarts and exposing those type of things. Project Talks, it is very driven on the opportunity. So that is where, after we release an opportunity, Sean brings together his government side of the house with technical people, and the technical person that has the requirement talks to all of our members and talks to every innovator that's interested in it and says, okay, you can read it in an RFS and you can read it in black and white on a document. But what's it mean? What am I really interested in? What is really my problem set? And what do you think you have? And then there's an open exchange of dialogue. Sometimes we get feedback here from industry that changes the RFS, and we adjust accordingly. But this is really about that engagement and pulling that in per opportunity. Again, focus and intent. You'll hear us talk about a lot. You'll hear us talk about the collaboration, and you'll hear us talk about the teaming and the collision. And again, targeted outreach is another big one. Next slide. Okay, so you heard Sean talk about our space and our lab. So this was also very important to actually create a footprint, to create an environment that fostered innovation, that our members, our government customers, Sean's team, anybody could utilize. And you guys, this is our hub. It is absolutely our hub. We have people in and out. Government is there all the time. And it has really created an environment that is that collaboration background we talked about. This is really, really key to it. And there's a stocked fridge. So, you always win with a stocked fridge. Anything to add there, Sean?
No, like I said, I think it's really been key, and it really makes a great space for that collaborative engagement with the government team, with our contracting legal team, with the technical folks. I mean, it's really been nice to have that access to NSTXL on a regular basis. So this has been great.
Next slide.
Next slide. So what worked? What did we learn? We've hit on a lot of these things already. Obviously, collaborative environment, internal and external. I've hit on that. So has Brook many times throughout this discussion. But it's key, right? If you have buy-in from everyone, if you have everyone working together and everyone feels like they're part of the team, things get done. And I think that's where our local government team, contracting, legal, everybody else that's involved, along with NSTXL, have made this successful. Collision interactions, Brook just kind of talked about that a little bit. Follow-up engagements, we've talked about that a little bit. I mentioned the source selection evaluation portion, where we have follow-up conversations with some of the respondents to get clarification on the proposals, ask questions, things like that. I think it helps us get to a better solution at the end of the day. And then intentional and focused opportunities. Every opportunity that we put out there has money behind it. We're not just putting out feelers to see what's out there. We've got sponsor funding. We intend to fund the project if we put an RFS out there. So there's that intent there to actually fund a project. What do we learn? It's difficult to influence culture. This was not easy to stand up by any means. Navy was probably a little bit late to the game on OTAs, to be honest. But in the very beginning, it was very tough to get buy-in from everyone. But we kept pushing. You're going to have to learn to fight back when you get a no if you're interested in working in OTAs. But we were able to push through that, work together, and get to a solution that enabled us to stand this up. And I know we are about out of time here, but
so Sean and Brook. About that, everybody. Sean and Brook, thanks a lot. And I think you're this dot here in the center, right? That's where the tech bridge is. I failed to mention Ann Fields right there. I don't know how much you work with the tech bridge, but I'm sure you're a lot. See? So all this is coming together. Slowly but surely, the quilt is being quilted or something, or stitched together, and the patches are going to make it, right? It may not look so sexy, but it will be definitely of the great state of Hawaii kind of craftsmanship. If you don't know about quilts in Hawaii, I guess they're very popular. I've only been there a few times. All right, so we're going to transition over to the summit stage, and I think you will see the owner, and I shouldn't say owner, but the Master Guns, Master Gunnery Sergeant Griffin, who allowed us to have the Marines helping us here today set this all up. He is in uniform, very tall. You cannot miss him. Just thank him for allowing his Marines to be here and help set this up and bring this to fruition. Because without them, we couldn't have done this. So Brook, Sean, thank you very much.
I know. I did fancy.
You want
Yeah, you can come on up. I love colors, but I'm usually t-shirts, polos, jeans. I'm be lazy, and then I got fat. I couldn't fit any clothes. I had to buy some stuff, so I feel real bad. Oh yes.
Oh, where's the clicker? Oh my God, there's no clicker. I have a note here. Do I use a mask or take a mask?
No, you can
off?
take your mask off.
Okay. And then where do I point it to?
The computer's back here. Yep.
It's right there? Okay.
Are we live? Oh, we are live. Hey, audience, again, welcome back over to the summit stage. Wanted to introduce, is it Doctor or was it Miss? Miss Marissa Brand. I was reading a little bit about this presentation too, and I love programs that can really help like a lot of our veterans out. And one thing I've loved about this Agility Summit, you are literally learning about things that will impact you at all levels, from academia side, your enlisted side, reservists, industry, different government organizations. You're seeing all these collaborative spaces. So I'm really interested to hear about this program. So thank you, Marissa.
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. Good morning or early afternoon, depending on where you're at. I am presenting NextSTEP. It's Next Strategic Technology Evaluation Program. This program began in 2013. Dr. Richard Carlin, as everybody knows, the great Dr. Carlin, set up this program in 2013. I'm the program manager. Art Rubio is my Hacking for Defense lead, and Susan Adams is our chief financial officer. It's not okay. How do you? There it goes. So what is NextSTEP? NextSTEP is funded by the Office of Naval Research. We do oversight and evaluation on product prototypes. ONR funds 3 different commands: Naval Postgraduate School, NAFAC XWIC, and NIWIC Pacific. Each has their talent sets. NAFAC, of course, is facilities. MPS is more academic, where NIWIC Pacific has cyber and engineering focus. We also use an arm of an ONR grant provided to us to fund veteran interns that are going through higher education. We use them as interns on almost each of our projects. We have about 50 different principal investigators with roughly about 50 different projects right now. Currently, almost each one has an intern that they have through this program. It's a free intern, and it provides, again, workforce experience for the intern that's going through higher education. It is a stipend too, so they do get paid. Oh, there's a delay. Is it going? Arrow. I'm pressing the arrow. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so our program description is we de-risk product prototypes for eventual transition and adoption on military bases. So our subject matter experts are all have background in either sciences or engineering. They're provided about a 1 to 2 to 3 year funding to evaluate product prototypes on installations to see if it is valuable to the installations. This also includes what we refer to as a hacking for defense process. So all of our principal investigators are required to, 1, have a stakeholder at the installation, and 2, have a valid transition plan so we have success at the end of these projects. Of course, some of these projects have to be cut in the middle depending on if it is relevant to either the facility manager or energy manager to have this product on base or the technology on base. If it doesn't look like it's going to work, we cut the project off in midstream. Let's see. again, let me go into the veteran intern program after this slide. So currently we've had about, 189 veterans going through this program. It was stood up in 2013 and it's managed through University of San Marcos. Sorry. Currently, we have 30 different interns going through the program right now. One of the successes that we have is not only do we have 100% placement, but we've had about 41 interns placed at NIWC Pacific. We also have about, like 5 different principal investigators who actually have a project within NextSTEP. So they are managing their own projects right now. One is even our Hacking for Defense lead, and then they intern other veteran interns that are going through the project or program. We do have some other successes. We're nominated twice for Nonprofit Veteran of the Year in San Diego. And we also have a patent that one of our interns was able to achieve. Okay, so part of our program in NextSTEP is looking at the cyber component. These are some of our projects that we have had through the years. We look at the different types of aspects under cyber controls. We look at SCADA systems, industrial control systems, their network, to identify any cyber problems associated with any possible breaches in the future. Let's see, go to the next one. The other examples of projects are mobile power supply, storage, and drones. So you could see up here in the right-hand corner, we have a mobile power supply system. It's in 3 connect boxes. You open it up. It has solar power running energy into batteries, and now you have a mobile supply unit for either training or for warfare in-field options. These are our industrial control and SCADA systems. We have quite a bit of those. One that I'm going to identify is a long-range wireless system, LoRaWise. That's been a huge success in the last year. So I'll go into that in more detail in a minute. Another thing that we do under NextSTEP program is we do boot camps and on-site classrooms. So over at University of West Oahu, we have a classroom setting there where our principal investigators have a hands-on lab equipped with industrial controls and computers. So they teach the students how to hack into a system, what to do when there is a hacking event happening, and how to go through that. And that's been a huge success throughout the years. Some other boot camps were from ASU. We partner a lot with our academic partners to do these boot camps, and it's been a huge success in the previous years. Under COVID, we had to kind of put a kibosh on that for a little bit, but we do have online options. And of course, we have microgrids. When this program was stood up in 2013, the focus was really energy. When we transferred to more of the product prototype a couple of years ago, we still have that energy flavor to it, but we do have a lot of microgrids, as you can see. So it's nothing but, what is, how does a microgrid work? Where is it applicable on installations? Is there any cyber threat to the microgrids? Currently, we have building level microgrid over at the EWOC. They also have an installation-wide microgrid. We did in 2016 provide a PUAD system, which is kind of like the user face navigation system to help them manage that. See, so this is a slide that represents more of the Naval Postgraduate School's projects that we have either in previously or ongoing. They have built themselves a huge lab with the equipment that they were able to purchase through this program. They end up interning their students there at Naval Postgraduate School, and also subjecting our VTech interns to these opportunities and within the lab as well. Here's a list of the NAFAC projects that you could see. It's more of the on the facility side. Currently we're doing artificial intelligence with water leak detection, one of our projects that we rolled out last year. That's really a successful project as well. As a note, a lot of our successes are not because ONR funds these particular projects, but it's because we enacted the Hacking for Defense philosophy. So a lot of our projects collaborate with other programs out there like ESTCP, NextSTEP, so that we get more bang for our buck. It doesn't make sense to just to fund one project and then it goes away. That's not what we do. We search out and we bring other people onto our table and we work together alongside with them. And this is an example of NIWIC's projects. As you can see, that's just a real full spectrum of what NIWIC could provide. NIWIC is Naval Information Warfare Center, and most of our principal investigators work over in San Diego. However, we have a big upcoming personnel addition over at Code H in Hawaii. This is an example of the 2021 projects. I'm sorry, I'm going pretty fast because I have so many slides, unlike Steve, where he's so I'm going really fast. And of course, please, if you have any questions, raise your hand. But these are an example of our 2021 projects. As you could see, we did make a real big jump to nascent and on-trend technologies. We're looking at autonomous vehicles. We're looking at 5G and how that relates to some of our equipment that we already have, our legacy equipment, and what we need to do to get that legacy equipment linked to the 5G network. Let's see. Other things that we're doing is we're doing a lot of unmanned logistics. We're also doing drones under AirBoss and AirMap, which I'll get into in a little bit. So just to showcase one of our projects, this is the Energy Innovation Lab. This was stood up about 3 years ago. Art Rubio alongside with Alan Williams. They both went through the VTech program, super successful. They were able to achieve just rolling out this lab. There's about 20 different people that work out of this lab. It's a functioning lab, so they have hardware in the loop capabilities. They have, let's see, as you can see here, this is their lab right there. The picture on the bottom. I mean, they've done such phenomenal work. I'm so proud of these guys. They've also done a prize challenge for VI at Sea. They rolled that out in February and March of this year. Highly successful challenge that we were able to push through. And let me go to one of their projects. So the Long Range Wireless System Evaluation Project. So what happened in over at Camp Pendleton in areas 43 through 53 is that a lot of people jumped into Camp Pendleton's energy sector. They said, oh, we could do all kinds of things, you know, to help you regulate your systems and manage your energy systems there. But what ended up happening is they had a room full of equipment that nobody knew how to run. So the Energy Innovation Lab set out to figure out what's going wrong, you know, what's happening, what's you know, what is the breach between you know, getting this energy sector up and modernized, right? So because Art Rubio is a Hacking for Defense lead, he sat there with all the operations personnel along with his team. They mapped out what they had, what they needed, and what they needed to link up the system. So they they contracted with SEL, this Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories, and they rolled out a new SCADA system for Camp Pendleton. Not only did they roll out this new system, but they also trained the personnel that will be running that system that you know, are employed through Camp Pendleton. Because of this SCADA system, they were able to identify a breach in one of their smart meters. They have 3 smart meters there. There was a humid event that took down one of the smart meters. They were able to identify location, time, and other event information. It linked directly to our local utility, and so they were able to figure out what went wrong and how to fix that. Because of this, we were able to receive 2 letters from the commander at Camp Pendleton. They're super happy with the work that they've done so far, and a huge success story for NIWC, not NIWC, but NextSTEP. So these are some of the NextSTEP accomplishments. We've had many collaborative agreements. Currently, we have 3. We just finished the Qualcomm. Now, all of these successes isn't because of this particular project, but it's because we reach out to our partners within our command and outside of our command. So I got to reach out to our tech transfer people. I think Paul Herbert is here somewhere. He's instrumental in helping us move forward with the CRADAs and the MOUs that is making all these successes happen. So what happened? This is this is my favorite slide. In 2018, I met with Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Newell. We were really jumping into the Hacking for Success program or process. What my PIs were lacking was some solid stakeholders. What Brandon Newell was lacking was some support and help to get his program, Installation Next, up and running. So our programs collided into a huge program bridge because it not only made sense, but it was so efficient. What emerged from this is, I'll showcase in the next couple of slides, but what Major Harvey was mentioning before is our steering committee. The steering committee holds our business model. It gives you or us a roadmap on how we did it, why we did it, our learning objectives on each of the pilot projects, and the overreaching umbrella of the 5G Living Lab. And it sets the tone for our next success under electric mobility in the next coming up years. I guess I should change the hair to no hair for you. Okay, so since we've collided, we've had 5 different pilot projects coming out of NIWC Pacific to help with the 5G Living Lab. These pilot projects range from autonomous vehicles to artificial intelligence to drones. What we do is we link up to the 5G Living Lab, either under our sensors or other mechanisms, to see how well these pilot or these products work under 5G, right? Another shout out to Verizon. Without Verizon's collaborative agreement, this would not have happened. So they are super instrumental in getting all this rolled out fluidly, and they still are our leading partners in this. Other successes were some events where the unmanned logistics demonstration that was a triple command planned, mainly by the Marine Corps, but a super successful demonstration on unmanned logistics. The second day was Electric Mobility Symposium. Mr. Joe Bryan from the senior climate advisor was there on the panel. That was a hugely successful event. We had so many of our industry partners willing to reach out their hand and link up with us, either in some sort of collaborative agreement, in-kind funding, or just working alongside with us to evaluate product prototypes or technologies, just to help the military installation get up to that modernization or smart bases level that we really want to achieve. Recently, we had a UK Stratcom team meeting with General Sir Patrick Sanders. His number one question was, how did you get past the contracts? How did you roll out the 5G Living Lab without a contract in place? You know, a lot of people are talking about, you know, the tranches. Despite having no money from the tranches, and despite putting a dollar into, not putting a dollar into a 5G network, we have one. And we were the first base, MCAS Miramar was the first installation to have a 5G network. So congratulations, Steve. Again, let's see. I already went through that. We did have a first dual command pitch challenge last year, as Major Harvey mentioned. We did have 4 awardees. As a Warfare Center, we're able to move that prize money to those awardees. So again, a lot of team effort in getting that pitch challenge going. ONR was instrumental on that as well. Let's see. I've already been. We were also able to achieve the collection of a $5 million congressional ad for a nonprofit, US Ignite. I'll go into that in a minute. So this is how we unlock the ecosystem. I was wondering if you were going to put this up here. So on the right-hand side, you'll see Marine Corps and all their collaborative agreements with the city and Border Patrol, ASU, SANDAG. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a lot of movement from NIWC Pacific. We have 3 different CRADAs, 1 pending LP CRADA. We have 3 MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, 1 directly with the Marine Corps. So we're able to do a lot of things on MCAS Miramar as a test bed because of these collaborative agreements. We also have 3 different contracts, one with Anduril, well, Marine Corps does, on their counter-intrusion project, one with Cana Advisors, and the other one with US Ignite. The bottom 2, US Ignite and Cana, were part of the $5 million congressional ad we were able to collect. That's because US Ignite is a nonprofit. They're helping us lead some of the project management or program management under some of these pilots on the nonprofit side. Okay, so this slide showcases some of the pilot projects that we have with MCAS Miramar under our collision of our programs. One, again, is the autonomous vehicle. We just finalized that. We are still exchanging information, data collected from the autonomous vehicle routes. That was about I would say 90 days. Was it a 90-day? We're hoping to get the Ollie back in gear next year to do more studies on it, and hopefully we'll have a solid transition for that too. Over here, you'll see the counter intrusion tower. That is a tower that links with a suite of sensors. MCAS Miramar is a huge area. They have a big, huge open space that they have no possible way to pay for labor to manage that open space. So this tower, I think it reaches out to 5 miles out. It is motion detected. So if they do find a motion, they zone in on it to figure out who's breaching that perimeter. They do have mapping, like a clutter map that eliminates a lot of the, small animals and trees and brushes and that kind of thing. So that is instrumental for the armed forces over on the MCAS Miramar's base. So we're still, we have a new project with counter intrusion. We may add a thermal sensor on that for fire detection in this area as well. So that's a promising proposal next year. We have the SEAS unit that is a Creta LP with a company in Italy. Basically, that's a huge humidifier. It takes water out of the air, it filters it through their system to provide drinking water. This system has a few different capacities or sizes. It also functions as a HVAC unit in small buildings right now. We're doing sampling on the water quality there right now, but that seems to be a pretty successful project as well. We also have zero mass water that was rolled out over at Hawaii. Again, a water filtration system. The solar panels open up, they collect water, they funnel it through a membrane for drinking water purposes. We're looking at maybe using these in training areas for Marines that are training off base, like either, well, on base, but in rugged terrain, Camp Pendleton, Yuma. And you'll see the Ollie right there too. That's our autonomous vehicle. And I'm sure you noticed this slide. This is our 5G Living Lab. Again, the 5G Living Lab opened up a world of opportunity for us, NIWC Pacific, ONR, and MCAS Miramar as well. MCAS Miramar is our test bed along with our partners, but you could see that our pilots are directly associated with the 5G Living Lab. This is just showcasing each of the pilots that we have currently over at MCAS Miramar. The Ollie, again, we finished that. We're just crunching the data now. We had 2 co-PIs on this, one on the cyber side of it and one on NAVFAC side. This is a 5G Living Lab. Well, this is a 5G connection over at the Energy Command Center. We're looking at legacy equipment that's already built into the EWOC, how 5G could penetrate that, make it either more efficient or do we add on to it, looking at like middleware kind of functions. This one is our field ops project. We're really rolling this out next year. So although we had the demonstration last year on the unmanned logistics, we're really, doing that deep dive into, what unmanned logistics are when it comes to exporting energy, how it's connected to, what infrastructure we have on base, if we do have any. We're working on that too. And the water harvesting, this is something I mentioned before, the zero mass water, where they open up the solar panels and they have water available to them. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
One question from Marissa. Okay, here we go.
Hi. Yes, for Hacking for Defense, I know that they're very active in their philosophy. It's very impressive how they're working with a lot of different groups. Can you explain exactly how that works with Peter? Because I'm a big fan, and in fact, one of our technologies that we scouted is actually working for an Hacking Forex. And I just wanted to know a little bit more on that philosophy. It's working really well. If you can
Right.
explain it.
Yeah, I have to say that prior to Hacking for Defense, we did have successes, but Hacking for Defense really defined the project management role in each of the projects and also defined that transition piece, right? So like I mentioned before, all of our principal investigators, when they propose to this program, and it's a $5 million program every year, they have to have a stakeholder and they have to have a viable transition plan. Otherwise, they won't get funded. Now, Hacking for Defense, it looks different to each of the commands because each of the commands have their own talent set, right? So Naval Postgraduate School, their Hacking for Defense piece is very different than NIWIC, right? So Hacking for Defense with Naval Postgraduate School means that, they publish papers, they collaborate with other programs, they collaborate with other commands. And those are the successes and transition pieces that we're looking for under Naval Postgraduate School. With NIWIC Pacific, our transition is, how do we get this installed on the base? What does that look like in the future outlining years? Do they need funding for software updates or software support? And we write that within the transition plan so that we provide the installation with funding, enough funding to cover those years until they get their own funding coming in. Each of our principal investigators do their own Hacking for Defense. So we have a mission model canvas, again, a required document from them. My Hacking for Defense lead, Art Rubio, works alongside with them to help them build their transition plan. You're welcome.
Marissa, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Marissa Brand, thank you very much. Well, we've got just a few. She's very angry. She's fine. Stomping up. That's a deep step, right? That's not. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have lunch here in just a few minutes. Lunch has arrived, but before that, I believe Ashley wants to do some tours of the shop. She's gonna take you through the shop. Not exactly where she said outside. Where is it, Jen? Just outside of the exhibitors. Meet up there, right? So everyone knows what Ashley looks like. You can't miss her. So Ashley will take you through the shop. Then you can get some lunch once it's ready. We'll let the Marines eat first, and then once they've eaten, they'll be prepared to serve. So thank you once again. We'll see you back at 1300.
All right, hello everybody. So gonna take you guys on like the underground tour. I'm gonna take you guys to see all the different vendors and the amazing things that we have. Can I get like a thumbs up from the people at the summit stage? Can you hear me? Oh, I think I see I'm live. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys, and so look, we're outside the garden where Naval X sits for their partnership intermediary agreement space. And so I'm gonna take you guys. Let me see how I turn around my camera. I'm not that fancy. Let's see. StreamYard's different. I'm gonna take you guys into the Fab Lab. All right. Let me turn myself around. You know what? I'm gonna turn my other self around. Let's do this. Hi, you guys are gonna go on a tour with us? All right, let's see. I'm gonna get my mask, so we're gonna go in here. Hold on. Let me see. There we go. I want them to see the Fab Lab. So this is from Knock which one? Knock AD. So this is actually like a traveling lab here at Knock AD. I'm gonna take you guys inside. So you come inside with me. Whoa! Traveling laboratory. What do we have right here? What's behind me? Oh, what's your name?
So my name's Kyle Robertson, and this is the Knock AD Mobile Fab Lab. It's located at Patuxent River Naval Air Station outside of our innovation hub. So this was in response to a climate command survey that was taken several years ago that identified that we needed more innovation at Patuxent River. So this was purchased, and then the technical library was identified as a space that could be repurposed to house the library, but in addition, our collaboration spaces, maker spaces, software sandbox, virtual reality and augmented reality lab, and several other things we have in that space. So here up front, we've got a CNC laser, and we cut out some tokens that you guys can take. We did the engraving and the cutting on this machine. There's also a 3D printed CAC holder or badge holder. It's dual-sided, so you have multiple cards. You can have one on the front side and one on the back side.
Can I have this?
Yes, you can.
Oh yeah, I love the goodies. Well, I'm gonna take a blue one. Look, guys, they have all these different colors down here. Check that out.
And behind you here, we have a CNC milling machine. It can be used for educational purposes. In addition to supporting work-related projects at Patuxent River, we partner with our Education Outreach Office and take this facility to different schools in our Tri-County area. So this is used to teach people how to do CNC milling. So when they come in to do their prototyping project, they can learn how to design for manufacturing. It does woods, waxes, plastics, soft materials. It's a non-metal machine.
Okay. What else we got here? So look, this is what they're cutting out. Look at that. Can I have one of these too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely a person that loves the gizmos and gadgets. I'm gonna grab this. Looks like they're printing things like this. It's like a little prop.
This is machine. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
machine?
That's a fan. That's machined out of that block.
Wow. Look
So
at
with
that.
3D printing, this is a nozzle that you can maybe see it better on the back screen what it's going to end up looking like. This also shows what it'll be done, what it looks like when it's done, but it's basically a nozzle that's going to direct air for a Section 219 research project. This is being printed out of PLA. It's a spool that looks something similar to this, and then it's melted through a hot nozzle, and then the plastic's placed into place layer by layer. So if we walk back here, we can see what that looks like on the screen. This is what was...
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
All right, there we go. This is better.
This is the software that was used to create the laser part that you picked up that was made out of wood. This is the software that we use to set up the 3D printer. So this is 397 layers when it's complete. And this is every layer that moves down.
Whoa.
Starting at the very beginning.
And 3D printing, just in case there's someone that doesn't know yet.
Sure.
What's happening there?
So that nozzle is laying plastic down on the glass in a very thin layer at about 0.4 millimeters thick. And then after that layer is complete, it'll lay an additional layer on top of that, forming the 3D object in cross sections.
Wow, look at this. Say, look at the team. Is this your team?
This is my team. This is Russell Gilbert.
Hey, Russell.
This is Terry Topolsky.
Hi, Terry.
This is Andrew Koch.
Hey, Andrew.
Andrew's going to talk about the robotics portion.
Oh, wow. This is like legit classroom on wheels.
So these are some of our robotics equipment, which again were 3D printed using our facility equipment. These are a little bit work in progress and operational right now, but the idea is these are used to support our course development and the courses that we provide that are focused on workforce development. So anyone at the NOC, anyone at NavAir can sign up through NavAir University to take our courses, and the idea is that they provide basic starting off jumping points for content. So we have an intro to Arduino, intermediate Arduino, intro to virtual reality. This is going to be for the intro to robotics course that we're developing. So it gives them the fundamentals, teaches them how to get started and how to start learning on their own and how to start building projects at our facility based on that knowledge. So these are going to be used in our intro to robotics course. The idea is that They provide the individuals with information on like inverse kinematics, VH conventions. How do you go from one angle? So if you're at this angle, how do you tell that each of the joints, each of the stepper motors in this case, to go to the other angle? This is some plans we found online. We're working on developing the code as well.
Is this 3D printed too?
Yes, these are 3D.
Wow.
All 3D printed except for the motors and all the screws that go into it. So pretty cool. We have also used this equipment for strategic education purposes. So we go out to our STEM events, STEM festivals, to the local schools, and we use this as a way of getting across engineering principles. Students love to see applied engineering. So seeing a robot arm is much more impactful than talking about mechanical engineering and the mathematics behind it. Now they're actually seeing it, they're seeing the relevance, and that helps them understand the importance of what they're learning in school. So we're going
with STEM?
Yes, we do a lot of work with the Education Outreach, Strategic Education Office. In fact, I was chatting with them on the phone the other day about potential internships and how we can support the work that they do to increase the workforce and to make sure that we have people available for the next 20, 30, 40 years that are knowledgeable, educated, and help accomplish our goals.
Wow.
Working with the university college, community colleges, workforce development.
Yes, and we're all different areas. There are we're working with the high schoolers. We're working with the community colleges, the local college, St. Mary's College of Maryland down south. We're working with the local trades. There's a tech jobs rule program that they're implementing that's looking at encouraging people. Not only do we want people to go into getting 4 years, 2-year degrees, we want them to get accreditation for trades, plumbers, electricians, aviation maintainers. All of that is important and necessary to accomplishing our mission. So we're working all angles.
One angle is we have access to OEM manuals, and we have all the parts digitized, available on headsets. So
yes,
we want to enable, maybe we can do a little collaboration, enable the technicians to order the parts that they're looking for and send it to your lab to actually print it.
Yes, that would be very cool.
Online.
In fact, one of our other courses,
Real-time.
one of the other courses that we do is augmented reality, intro to VR and augmented reality. We have a HoloLens that we give hands-on time. We want people to come up with those ideas of how to use that. And augmented reality for maintainers is a huge thing because it does allow them to access those manuals, that information, with having their hands free in a better, more human factors, more human accessible format, rather than trying to have your hand inside of a component, trying to flip through a manual and try not to break anything.
Exactly.
Ooh, check these out.
That's a huge point.
Look
When
at
you're
that.
working with
See these
expensive
things?
machines.
Different 3D cross sections, like
So
different
you were
types of
talking
prints.
about this,
I kind of hijacked and took
Yes.
you guys away. Look at that. All these different parts and pieces. I guess they did right here. All different angles and everything like that.
They require a lot of torque to keep the position. Not only do you have to keep the position.
All these are 3D printed parts. Look at that.
That was a fit chip.
So I've been
This is
fiddling
the check
with
part we
the,
did.
Fit chip part.
So that they could make sure that the components fit in and the cables were where they needed them to be and everything lined up. So it saved a lot of time and money.
Wow.
Instead of waiting until the product got in.
What's this? What was this used for?
This is a F-18 wash cover. So the guys were climbing up on top of the F-18 and supposedly like covering the holes so that the water wouldn't get down into the engines.
Wow.
So they developed this part, 3D printed it, and now they just take put it on the end of a broom, take it up, stick it in.
Wow.
Unscrew it, leave it there, wash it, come back and take it out. So it's safe, it's safety as well as cost and efficiency. So a lot of good things. Let's just show you angles.
Little pet turtle. Oh.
Yeah.
So just want to finish the tour too. So and what is this thing right here?
So this is a 360 camera actually.
Whoa! Can you see me now? Can you see you guys? See my virtual audience?
So what we want to do for our virtual reality and augmented reality efforts is during COVID, there was obviously a complete stop in how we could bring people on for tours and to get information out. We are looking into developing 3D tours for students, for people who want to know more about our site in general. So let's develop 3D tours that they can see them on their phone. They can scroll around and go in a 360 view and see the different areas of the facility. Maybe have it annotated. So we got this device to capture that information in a 360 format, in a full view format.
So where can I go and see these tours? Like, how can I get involved?
We don't have the 360 tours up yet.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh. We have a video that we created with the Chief of Education's office about our robotics work and about the iHub in general, which I believe it is up on the YouTube site for the NAVAIR PAO rather. So that's one of our first steps in that direction, and we're looking to take it further with some of this technology that we have.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, team. Like, this is the Fab Lab. Check out the Fab Lab on YouTube. Drop it in the comments and stuff. Thanks, team. Thank you. Look, here's all the cool things. I had to take it. Look at that. I took one for sure. I got the Agility Summit, the 3D prints. All right. We're going on to the next tour stop. As they're getting some lunch, we're going to walk out outside. Since we got lots of space and air, I'm going to take my mask off. But if you guys can see, we actually have quite a few vendors. I'm going to take you guys around to each of them, give you like their 60-second spiel of like why they're important, why they're here, why it matters, what their partnerships are about. So let's see. We got a first stop. Oh, got to definitely say hi to my working team here. The working Marines. We got some Marines over here. Our help in the back. This thing wouldn't happen. Like the help is necessary. Don't let them tell you anything else. Right? So hey guys.
Hey.
What's the Medallia? Did I say that right?
Medallia, that's right. That's right. It's French American. So
French American, I love it. So what does your company do?
So Medallia is a customer and experience management platform, right? So we have been sort of the go-to customer experience for enterprise and commercial. We think Hilton hotels, Walmart, all these big retail, all of these big distribution channels, all of these customer service interfacing like hospitality, etc. They've leveraged Medallia for over 20 years. And about 5 years ago, we saw that there was a need in the federal market. And we started talking to one of the most important agencies, the Veterans Administration, around how we can help the veterans experience. And ironically enough, we have today with us Lee Becker, who came from VA.
Nice.
Former Marine, former sailor, corpsman. Great guy all the way around. So he came on board to join Medallia to help take Medallia to the federal marketplace, to help more than just the veterans. So I don't know, Lee, does that summarize where you came from and what Medallia does?
Yes, and hey, as a former, as a Navy corpsman, as a chief hospital corpsman, so it's awesome to see this great work that we're doing here with Naval X. And you know, I wish when I was in the Navy we had something like this, but it's so great to see this. And yeah, so my time at the VA with helping to really transform the VA's experience, we had amazing leadership in place to really say, okay, you know, we want to how do we modernize this, right? We got to place the veteran, the family member, the caregiver, survivor at the center, at the core, right? And so how do we do that? What we did is we looked in best industry. We looked, okay, how does Apple do that? How does Marriott? How does, you know, all the best companies, how do they do that? And what we found was it's through this methodology around customer experience. I know, very simple. It's about listening, truly understanding, and then using that information to action. So truly listening to, as we think about in the context of the Navy, how do we make sure that we're listening to our sailors, their family members? How do we make sure we're listening across, up and down the chain of command and across, so that we can then take those insights to drive action. So whether it's making sure a system is, you know, if the system is not working properly, how do we make sure very, very quickly that we're addressing it? How do we also not just react to issues, but proactively be able to address issues before it happens, and so that we could be able to then be in a better state? And you know, from the Navy standpoint, how do we ensure greatest military readiness to continue the great mission that the Navy does? So it's not hard to be here. It's wonderful to see that the Navy is really taking serious and the importance around customer experience. And I'll tell you, the VA is so committed to do whatever they can to help. And so I'll tell you, from my time at VA, I want to be able to help bring some of those best practices that we've learned there back to the Navy and the Marine Corps. So, hoorah! Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look, so this is amazing. Definitely. So they can drop all the information in the chat. because this is going to be here like forever. Yeah, I got rid of my little gimbal. We got fancy stuff, but it's not charged. So look, backup people always charge your gear. And next, so what's this company? Farracode.
Farracode.
Did I say that right?
You did. You said it perfectly.
Hey, what is Farracode all about?
So we are a ServiceNow professional services company. We're an elite partner with ServiceNow. And I'm going to be presenting this afternoon talking about connecting the ships to the cloud.
Oh, so you guys gonna get the real deep dive.
So you could have a help desk on the ship, sending trouble tickets through high compression that we have available off to the cloud, and then that service desk could respond to the ship.
And what time is your presentation so they can tune in?
It's 2 o'clock today, and I'll be talking about ICAS and how we use ship sensors to do analytics, and we can tell which component in an engine is going to fail before it fails. And then we can use ServiceNow to schedule the ship, the part, and the maintainer all to meet up at happy hour and fix the ship before it's disabled at sea.
Look, guys, want to get you guys off on time. That's why they want to predict it, so you guys don't have to be staying late to try to figure out what's wrong. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Look, so I'm going to interview the unicorn. Like, what's your IT unicorn? Like, this is awesome. Look, I know. Look, so some of this team is eating, but I'm coming on. This is PEO MLB's. I never know what MLB stands for. Let me see. Manpower, logistics, business. I just know former Naval Exeter Kevin Burnett was there. So he's there. And they even got the good treats. They got Rice Krispie treats. I had 2. Sorry. So yeah. But you guys want to come? Like, PEO MLB is in the house. Let me see. Walking around, got some more booths here. They just presented earlier too. Yes. Look at the team. Everybody's on lunch. So I'm hijacking their lunch. But you guys missed their presentation. Go back maybe like 30, 40 minutes in this video and you'll catch their presentation and learn some more. Nice. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Let me see. I think Google's over here. They presented yesterday. Well, was it yesterday, Tuesday? How you doing, Sean?
Good. You want to play a game?
Oh, yes. Let's play a game.
Let's play a game.
Oh, guys, look.
I'll
if this Jigsaw, if anybody watched the Jigsaw movies, they said play a game. Yeah, it's kind of weird. The camera's in the front.
All right. So here's what I want you to do.
All right.
We're going to see if you can draw these things and the neural network can detect. Yes, thank you. So we're going to draw these things and we're going to see if the neural network can detect what you draw. Right? Okay, this is an AI thing, right? 1 second. Got it. Ready, go. Draw a flag. It's going square. It says square, spreadsheet. Dresser. Okay, it's a flag. It got it.
Whoa!
All right, next one. Pair.
Oh, draw a pair.
Draw
Oh,
a
gosh.
pair.
Oh, gosh.
I know. Come on. You can get 6 out of 6 here.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Beach. Oh,
Draw a beach.
Draw beach.
Yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
You're doing it. You got
Oh,
the
my
idea.
goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh,
wouldn't even know
umbrella
where it got
chair.
it. It got it.
What?
Duck.
Oh, my God. A duck? Quack.
Oh, that's it. Well, that's pretty good.
Oh, this looks like some kind of bird. Oh, it's a duck.
I thought it was a frying pan.
Frying pan. Saw. I'm going to draw Jigsaw, the little doll, right?
There you go. Oh, it's a saw.
It's
You
a
got
saw.
it. All right.
Submarine.
Okay, you're with Naval X. You should be.
All right, let's do this. Beep, 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 beep.
It's a submarine.
Oh, look at that. Look
She
at
got
myself.
6 out of 6.
6 out of 6.
6 out of 6.
Look,
Perfect.
what's the purpose of this? So what am I doing?
It's basically to show you that essentially AI and ML can recognize and you can train things to essentially understand what it's seeing. So for instance, in the Navy, if you wanted to recognize certain types of ships, you could train a model to do that. So it automatically recognize them from a video feed as an example.
Wow.
Hey, we do have a question out there. They were wanting to know, is that a vibe board?
Oh, yeah, this is a vibe board. This is actually at the Naval X facility. So some of our tech bridges, and actually going to take you over to the next stand in a second. Thanks, Sean. That was like, can I play this? Can I Google how to Google this? Can I play this?
You did. You did an awesome job. You got 6 out of 6.
Hey, that was awesome. Look, I'm a good artist. Like I found out my drawings when I was like 5 and 7. I was like, wow, I was really an artist.
Yeah, much better than I would have done.
Yeah. So, and one thing about the Vibe, so they're not even TVs, and they're like TV-like computers, like getting on YouTube, Netflix. We've done our Teams calls, our Zoom calls. It has whiteboard functionality. You can do PowerPoint, Microsoft Word. You can draw pictures. Love when we have like these mingling sessions. Sometimes we'll roll videos on YouTube about what Naval X does and all different things. And now I'm bringing you over to my friends at the Tech Grove, so from Orlando Tech Bridge. And let me see if you can see there on their screen. They actually have a digital twin. I always hear that buzzword. I never knew what it was. Cassie's gonna tell us and show us around the Tech Grove.
Yeah, great to see everybody. So this is the digital twin of our Tech Grove in Central Florida. Great to be able to give you guys a tour. So that flag is actually a giant digital screen. If you joined our presentation this morning, you would have saw Diana and the rest of the team actually standing in front of there. That's where we live streamed that presentation from. Jonathan, do you want to tell us about a few of the other capabilities over there that we have in the corner?
So in the corner there is our we call our live virtual constructive area. That's where we're going to have connectivity back to the base. We'll allow people to come in here. We have firewalls set up in place so that we don't have any Navy network stuff on there, but we do allow people in to see some of the stuff that's unclassed and open to the public on the live virtual constructive side of the house. And we also have a cyber cell there. We do some cybersecurity training for the workforce. Yeah.
So who can come and use this space? Like, how does it get involved?
So anybody. So this space is actually off base. You can have direct access to it, trying to make things a little bit more easy, get that collaboration going. So our Tech Grove manager, he's there every day. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, the Central Florida Tech Grove, or the Central Florida Tech Bridge. We would love to connect with you guys and see how we can partner on a few things.
Yep. And that's academia, industry, and government together. So it's pretty much open to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
I would like to make one more plug. So another thing that we came here to talk about this week is the newly formed TechBridge Aviation Alliance. So it is a new...
Woo! Check that out. Look at that. That's fancy. Hot off the press.
It's a new model within the TechBridge network, where we are now, so far we have 2 tech bridges within the network, the Central Florida Tech Bridge and the Southern Maryland Tech Bridge, and we are initially partnering with NextSTEP, so that way we have a more direct access to the fleet, allowing Navy members who maybe couldn't previously be part of the Tech Bridge network to now be part of the family. We can, again, further that collaboration. We're seeing this thing growing much further beyond what we're starting with today, but that's where we're starting. If you're interested and in the aviation community and want to connect with us, reach out to us on LinkedIn as well.
So I'm not a part of the aviation community yet. However, can I get this like in a coin or something? Because this looks pretty bad. This is amazing. Like, this is great. Thank you, guys. Bye. All right, team. So I got to put my mask on because we're headed back inside. Let me see. We got two more vendors. Oh, everybody's at lunch. I kind of hijacked their time. Everybody's at lunch. But look, we got Advanced Technology International right here. Maybe I'll try to come back. I'll come back and see if they're here to talk a little bit about them. But also got R&D collaborations, accelerating technologies for the Navy. Looks like these are different organizations that they're working with. Check them out. Ooh, fancy. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go in the shop. Oh. All right, guys. I don't want it to ring, so I'm going to be quiet for a second because I'm in the building momentum space. All righty, we are here in the machine shop. I think they might be at lunch, but look at all this stuff that's happening. So if you guys remember, I told you guys, they're Marines. There's 8 Marines from all over the country. They are working on building an autonomous vehicle in 4 days. They're learning I think they're probably learning welding, laser cutting, learning woodworking. They're learning electronics and everything to build something that they can take around and be able to innovate in the field. So this is the different shops. So part of something that Naval X has is has this metal shop that they actually teach the Marine Makers course. So they brought in Marines from all over the world here in this shop to learn how to innovate in the field, take down drones, find IEDs, build UAVs, take down UAVs, and all that and above, right? So literally having a machine shop. This is the woodworking side. Up there is the laser cutting side. They actually learn to cut lasers. And way, way, way behind me, that's the woodworking. So I'm going to take you guys and show you what the Marines have been working on. But they're welding too, so if you see me close my eyes, I don't want to get blinded. I'm a non-destructive testing engineer. I don't want to get blinded. Hey, can you guys tell me what you guys have been teaching the Marines in here? So I'm actually on LinkedIn Live. And you guys are teaching the Marines.
Absolutely.
All right, so these are my building momentum. So one thing I love about building momentum, they bring amazing people here, and I'm gonna have them tell you a little bit about what they're doing with the Marines.
So this week, what we're basically doing is showing that a group of Marines that do not have robotics experience can, in 3 days, make an unmanned robot that will follow an IR beacon and also have a manual mode so they can drive it around as well. And these are people coming in with a varying range of experience but have not done this before at all.
And they're doing everything from fabrication, they're doing welding, they've worked with wood, they've worked with metal. They're working on a bunch of code up there that's using IR beacons, it's using different sensors and inputs, and then it's doing the manual with the controllers. It's taking in all the information that we've asked with the parameters, and they're making it work. So it's almost come together, and we're really excited to see them demonstrate them tomorrow.
Oh, so are we gonna get to see the demo tomorrow?
We are.
Guys, I am excited about this because they teach the Marine Makers course all the time, and I never really get to see the final products. I'm like, I'm actually doing work. But because this is actually work for me this week, I'm gonna be in here. So I just wanted to show you guys some of the stuff on the table. Look at all these wires, gizmos, gadgets. Look at this. Like, I don't even have this level of understanding of these things. They 3D printed some parts. Here's the amazing Alex. I'm gonna come over there for a second too. Look at that. They 3D printed some parts. Alex is another one. She's great. She helps out a lot of Naval X stuff. So if you guys come to need some facilitation at Naval X, like, she's gonna be doing it. She's great. Alex is awesome. This team is awesome. Great. Look at them. They're welding. So I'm gonna take you guys. I'm gonna be behind the camera because I don't want to get blinded. But look at these Marines over here. They're welding. You see that? Check it out. Oh, let me back up. I see the sparks flying. I had to back up. Wow. I'm gonna take you over here too. Looks like they're building the bottom, like the part that's gonna be actually tracking on the ground. Look at this. You guys made this? Wow. Wow. What's been the most amazing part of this so far for you? What's your name, Marine?
Alvin, or nickname Lala.
Hey Lala. Where are you from?
Los Angeles, California.
Awesome. What's your command?
7th ESB, I'm stationed with Camp Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton, okay.
So I'm here with a few others, and we also mixed up with Camp Lejeune, just as my colleagues over here.
Okay.
We're on separate teams, but on our offset, basically we're building a robot that's able to carry about 100 pounds at least minimum, but we've already tested it out with our other, he's on lunch right now, but 200 pounds to stand on it, I can stand on it.
Wow. So check this out. Can't wait for the final product. This is crazy. Look at this. Whoa. Oh, be careful.
Still needs some work. So we're gonna have manual driven as well as autonomous, and that's where the coding comes in on that.
Okay, gonna go. He said manual and gonna have an autonomous. So they're coming over here and learning some coding.
So yeah, a lot of the coding. I came with zero experience, especially with
like no experience ever, not even in playtime.
I did a little bit in their basic course they have. They provided in the bases, but this is a whole new level, and it's great because I am actually majoring in engineering. It is not mechanical, but I believe I'm going to use it one day.
Nice.
So this is our Tyrannus controller. This will be our manual rise. So we'll have like a shut off and an on, left, right, and so on, the basic components of a remote, as well as our autonomous. We have Arduino boards, as well as the Pixie motherboards and so on. I'll bring it over to you.
Got the Adreno boards going on.
Yeah, so this camera will follow our beacon, which is right now our other colleague is going to, this is going to be attached to us or some way, and we'll walk around with it, and then the robot will follow this beacon anywhere or wherever we're going to be at. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, did you ever think you'd have this kind of experience?
No, actually, by trade, I'm actually an automotive technician, and that's it. I didn't think
Oh,
that
cool.
I actually ended up going further into it, so it's great. I think it's amazing. It definitely innovates the Marine Corps itself, and it's awesome to see things that move on forward, because I feel that a lot of us have stayed behind, but integrating this would advance us by don't know how much, but definitely a good amount, and so on and so forth. And you know, there's innovation within our unit, and it's there's a lot of great ideas that we are finally getting to make.
So what has been your favorite part of this experience the last couple days?
Let's see. I guess I would say constructing, because I'm more hands-on. So obviously welding and so on and so forth is the greatest thing that I think so. Because I got to weld just a little bit, but this got me to really test my limits and learn a little bit new things, kind of angle design in a way. So it's amazing. I like it. I love it. And I hope to do more of it. So.
Thanks. Yeah. So guys, I can't wait to see the final product. We're actually going to go live and test them. And he's making the contraption, I'm sure, that's going to carry all the gear. Look at him welding this up. Amazing. Oh, look, they got another little prototype over here. Okay. Woo. Oh, I don't want to give you guys away too much. You know, I've already given you too much. So that's it for me. Behind the scenes control. You guys have been great. If you guys have any more questions, just drop them in the link where we're going to be going back live after lunch. And then tomorrow we're going to come back in the lab and see them test this. So stay tuned. Been great having you guys.